Excuse me while I whip this out.
Baby, the Rob Brown Show is live. Welcome back. Welcome in. Happy Monday. All the stuff. Great to have you as we get set for 4 hours over the next 5 days. 20 hours of radio broadcast excellence separate us from the final weekend without football of the year 2025, people. Now, it's not the final week without football of 2025 because that was last week. We do have football this week. Feels good, man. Football is back Thursday night. The NFL's Hall of Fame game gets underway. Don't call me. Don't text me. Don't DM me. Don't carrier pigeon, smoke signal, or other old school ways of getting in touch. Don't get in touch with me Thursday night. If you are not my wife, my dog, or my mom, brother, nephew, sister-in-law, don't reach out. And if you're one of them, don't reach out unless you're reaching out to talk about the fact that football's on TV.
The boss, though, that's okay if the boss reaches out. Okay.
Nope.
All right.
Not even him.
Listen,
Lonzo, you make the list.
Make an exception.
You make the list.
You don't pay attention to the stuff I send you anyway. So
yes,
that's not. You do not.
I pay attention to it. I don't always respond to it, but I pay attention to it. You may text on Thursday, but you may only text on Thursday if you are texting me about football.
I don't watch sports and text back and forth with people. I don't get on social media and see what everyone's saying about stuff. I'm locked in, and that's just what I do. I get you not wanting to be disturbed. I don't want to disturb somebody else. I just want to watch and enjoy, even though it is stinking whoever it is playing. I forget who's playing, but
that would be your Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah, my Dallas Cowboys, and they're playing who? The Chargers, right?
I believe that is correct.
Yeah, and so I don't particularly care for either one of these teams, but it's the NFL, and they're playing at the Hall of Fame, and I've been in that stadium before, and that's. It's technically not an NFL stadium, but if you want to count it as an NFL stadium for one day, then I've been in 2 NFL stadiums. But I've been there, and that makes it cool. And the fact that it's the beginning of football season. So I don't – and even during the best game, if it's Kansas City in the Super Bowl or what, I don't talk to anybody else. You've seen me when I'm at a sporting event. All I care about is a sporting event. I know it's our job to be on social media, but you guys do all that stuff and you do it well. But you know what? I don't see it because I'm watching the game.
I put myself in a weird spot because for games like this, it's the only one. I will watch legitimately. I will watch this game 3 times. I will watch it Thursday night with all of you. I'll be active on social media. We'll talk a little bit. I'm sure I will go on at least one, I hope, humorous foray into the Jerry Jones jokes. I will talk about Amari and Hampton. I'm hoping that young man puts his ability on display right out of the gate. We obviously will find out a lot more between here and Thursday night. How many snap starters are going to go, how deep into the game they'll go. Will it be a drive? Will it be a half? How many times he's going to get to touch the football, whatever.
What if you come out of this and go, oh, my God, Dallas is back. And I cannot believe this. I saw how good the starters were. I'm talking about Dallas all year because they're going to be the team to beat.
Well, number one, I'll be shocked because they are right now, if I recall correctly, they are, and again, not that this is it, because obviously sometimes Vegas gets it wrong, and that's part of the reason that we gamble is to try to find out when they do. Dallas right now has the 3rd shortest odds to win the NFC East this year, and there's a pretty hefty gap between them and the Washington Commanders, who, by the way, Do not get a bum, 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 bum anymore because they're not bum, 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 bums anymore. Now, still waiting to find out what's going to happen with Terry McLaurin. I'd really like to see them give that guy some money.
Sophomore slumps are real, man. I'm just saying they are because, as you pointed out before, it's no longer a surprise and NFL teams figure out about that quarterback.
That is correct. I think it is. I think you got to be really special to avoid a sophomore slump.
Spent a lot of time watching NFL Network's training camp thing because they're just like
the
hours
back together weekend.
Yeah, just hours of that, and saw an interview with him. He's definitely ready to go. So
He showed up. He wants a contract, but he showed up. That's a great way to make that happen. By the way, there's nothing I love more. Nothing I love more this weekend than when they checked in Dallas. And Micah Parsons, who did show up, he wants his extension. If there's one guy asking for an extension that I think has earned the extension, even if it is probably later that he should have gotten the extension, if there's one guy who has earned the extension that hadn't gotten yet, it's Micah Parsons. I loved the Cowboys fans chanting, pay him, when Micah came on the field and Jerry was there and having to listen to that. Now, granted, I don't think Jerry Jones is capable of...
Jerry should have went out there and held his hand out to all those fans and, pony up. It's not your money, it's his money. I'm not defending him, but you can chant that all you want. Are you paying him? No, you're not.
Jerry Jones, first and foremost, in order to do something like that, Jerry Jones would have to be capable of feeling the concept of shame, and he's just not. He's just not. Because if he had even the ability to feel a little bit of shame, Jerry Jones would have stepped out of the GM role 1,000 years ago, and he just hasn't, and he just won't. The Cowboys are. This is not new. This is not a shock. I've been saying it for a long time. You're in Al Davis territory, and by Al Davis territory, I mean the only way the Cowboys are getting rid of their current general manager is when he dies. That's it. I'm sorry. I don't mean to be macabre. I don't mean to be dark. It is what it is. JJ ain't stepping in. Do y'all remember the last couple of years of Al Davis with the Raiders acting GM? When he was doing his best Crypt Keeper impression up there on the stage? Like, that's where you are. And much like the Raiders when Al Davis passed and his goofy son took over his team. And by the way, I think we may have a good Raiders team this year. I'm not going to lie. I think the Raiders might be a good team this year. I think this might be a 9-win football team this year. We'll talk about that because we're going to do some NFL preseason expectations today. When JJ goes away, Steven's the guy stepping in, and the question mark is Steven going to be one of the sons that goes, I'm going to do it the way my daddy did it? Or is he going to be one of the sons that goes, my dad did it his way, and that was in his era, I'm going to do it my way and do it different?
All right,
I don't know.
Here's the thing. Without Jerry Jones, no one would ever talk about Dallas. So maybe so if he went away, like everyone wants him to go away, you just go, it's a mediocre team. They would never get a mention at all. Wouldn't be talking about the players, wouldn't be talking about anything. They would just be a middle of the pack NFC team that gets no talk at all. Jerry Jones is the only reason why anyone talks about Dallas. Everyone complains about Jerry Jones, but without Jerry Jones to complain about, no one would say anything about the Cowboys.
I don't disagree with any of that. I also think Jerry Jones is the reason the Cowboys haven't won an NFC title since I was a child. And I'm now
it's his prerogative.
It's
his team.
I understand, but that doesn't mean that you can't criticize him, right? Just because a guy owns a thing doesn't mean you go, we're just, either I don't talk about him at all or I praise him. No, that man runs a football team of which in this country there are millions of people who invest billions of dollars wanting success every year. And he is, as far as I am concerned, the number one blockade state. Listen, I'm perfectly happy if the Dallas, love you, Cole Bryson, love you a lot. Taylor Swift heart hands emoji. I am perfectly happy
that was a
if the Dallas,
heart.
it's on the fly and I'm holding a pen. And I'm also a 40-year-old white guy. Like I'm really not great with the kids' hands.
I was going to say, it looks gnarled.
That's just athlete hands right there. Love you, Cole, quite a bit. I'd be perfectly happy if the Dallas Cowboys never win a title because Dallas Cowboy fans are the most entitled, arrogant fans outside of the New York Yankees fans on the face of this planet. And to me, I'm cool if they never get back. But at the same time, I also recognize...
I didn't believe that because I've had interaction with Dallas fans, and they've been all right until the Cole Bryson promo where he is talking to Don Staley. And that to me points out everything you just said. That promo where he's talking about her, whatever, I can't remember the exact word he said about her green for her Philadelphia Eagles, who have, won a couple Super Bowls, and Dallas hasn't since Cole's been alive. It just, once I've heard that, I'm like, okay, this is what Rob is talking about, because I hadn't really met those guys until then. Our boss, Cowboys fan, don't hear anything from him like that.
I will say this. This is a group of fans that, as individuals, they're great. Like, I know a lot of Dallas Cowboy fans, and as individuals, they're great. The problem is when you get them into numbers, when you put them in a group. When you put them in a group, that's when they become, like, the worst. Just the worst.
Do you mean like Buffalo Bills fans? Or, I mean...
No, Buffalo Bills fans are fun. They're fun. They're loud, they're obnoxious, and they're fun. As I have described them a number of times, they are the Saints fans of the North. I love them. I am going September 28th. I'm going to Buffalo because the Saints are playing there. A dear friend of mine, Jack, used to live here. He just moved up to Cleveland, Ohio. He's a big Bills guy. His parents live a couple of blocks away from Orchard Park. And so when the Scatty came out and my boys are going up to play his boys, he's like, yo, my folks live like 2 blocks from the stadium. Do you want to come up? And I said, yeah, I do. I want to go to Orchard Park. I want to party with the Bills fans. I said, let me ask you this. Are they like Raiders fans where you're going to encourage me like not to wear my colors around the stadium? He's like, no, dude. Like, if anything, you'll probably end up getting a ton of free beers to shotgun with Bills fans because they're great. And I said, awesome. That's fantastic. I don't know if and when I go to a Saints at Cowboys game, because I do want to go see the stadium. I do want to go see the house that Jura built. I do want to see Jura World. But I don't know that I'm like, if I go to a Saints Cowboys game, I don't know if I'm wearing my colors until I get into the stadium. Like, I'm going to hide a Saints t-shirt in my pants until I get in the stadium and then pop it on. Like, Cowboys fans in numbers. So anyway, I was watching, because I got to keep it a buck with you. I did so little this weekend. Like, almost everything that I did this weekend was related to watching something on a screen. All right? Like, just about everything. We went Friday night, the wife and I hosted BetMGM tonight looking at a screen. I got done with that. I played Baldur's Gate with the boys into the wee hours in the morning. Saturday, I got up half an hour before Bet for the Cycle. I did 4 hours with Cody Decker. After the show Saturday, what did we do Saturday? The wife and I didn't really do any. Oh, no, I did go to the Triumph game Saturday night, which we'll talk about because the Greenville Triumphs on to the quarterfinals of the Jägermeister Cup. I've never wanted to win a tournament more than I want the boys to win the Jägermeister Cup. Because a Greenville Triumph Jägermeister Cup champ shirt, that's going solid in the rotation. So I went to that game. While I was at the game, watched the joke of a Braves game. How do you have Michael Harris Jr. finally get his swing back? He went double, triple home run. He was a single shy of the cycle, but he hit 2 triples in the way, and you still got your butts whooped. And he turned around. All right, whatever. I'm not even talking about that today. All right, I'll give you the trade deadline news. I'll give you the roster moves the Braves went. I'm not talking about the 3-game sweep at the hands of the Rangers, and now they go to Kansas City probably to get the same thing again. I watched that game there. I went home after the Triumph game. The wife and I watched like 4 documentaries Saturday night. I got up Sunday. Yesterday, we hung out in the morning. We watched a couple of other documentaries. I watched a lot of NFL Back Together Again weekend or whatever it's called. We did go see Fantastic Four yesterday. Zoe and I are going to talk about Fantastic Four and Happy Gilmore 2. I haven't watched it yet. That's our movie date tonight. I told her, you got me for like 12 of the 12 of the next 13 days. You got me for 12 of the next 13 days because when the NFL preseason gets here, like in its entirety, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday next week, you're not getting me out from in front of the screen. Like, that's just not happening. So we went to see Final Four. We went home last night. We watched another couple of documentaries. I watched a bunch of NFL Back Together Again weekend. I watched like 15 different college football preseason hype videos yesterday. I was on TikTok and Instagram just searching every major school because they all started dropping their hype videos this weekend. So, like, I went and watched a bunch of those. A lot of screen time, a lot of football screen time. It was spectacular. So I'm watching Back Together Again weekend. They're in Dallas. Micah's out on the field. Micah Parsons on the field. And the Cowboys fans are just chanting, pay him, while Jerry's standing across the field. And again, like I said, if he was capable of feeling shame, he probably would be like, all right, I will. But he just didn't react, which, of course, you don't react to that. Like, it is what it is. But talked about that. We did see some other stuff. Shamar Stewart did get his deal done on Friday night with the Cincinnati Bengals. And Trey Hendrickson, who is the best player on that football team, not named Joey B, not named Joey Burrow, not only did not show up for camp waiting for an extension because he has 1 year left on a guaranteed contract and basically wants an extension. And why not? Man's putting up almost 18 sacks. He's getting you a sack a game on average. Like, kid can ball. And the Bengals won't pay him. And he not only did not show up for camp, Shefty was on ESPN either Saturday or yesterday talking about it. And he's like, I talked to Trey Hendrickson. And Trey Hendrickson said, yeah, I'm not playing. I will sit out a year. I will sit out a year and get paid nothing before I get paid what they want to pay me on a 1 year guaranteed contract. And Shefty, who we all kind of know where Shefty is in relation to the NFL. Shefty literally said, good luck to the Bengals, because like he's not going to softball you. You waited this long. You didn't get anything done. You're playing hardball with him, and he's playing hardball back. Good luck for a defense that is already going to be awful. And now they got a guy who is, and I think Shamar Stewart has the opportunity to be very good in the NFL, but he's super unpolished. He had like 2.5 sacks for A&M last year. 2.5 sacks last year for A&M. He's a full season guy, 2.5 sacks, and now he's got to be the guy that carries that team. The Bengals are going to be the most interesting team in the NFL because they're going to score 48 points a game and have like a plus 2.5 points margin. It's going to be wild. We got a lot of NFL today. So here's what I want to do today. I will start with you NFL dudes out there. I don't care who your team is. I don't care who you pull for. What are your preseason prognostications and projections this year? Whether it's about your team, whether it's about the league as a whole, whether it's about a specific player, what is your preseason prediction, projection, and prognostication for the 2025 NFL season? I got a few I'm going to give you throughout the course of the show. I'm looking for yours, all right? 844-326-3663. That's the Hub City Spartanburger text line. Shoot your text in. We'll read them on the air. You can call that number, 844-326-3663. Jump on the air with us. You can also shoot me a tweet at The Rob Brown Show or email me, rob.brown@thefanupstate.com. The Ray Memorial Hotline is open for you. I'll tell you how to use that later in the show. I am Rob Brown. He is the great one, Lonzo. We are locked in, boys, for 4 hours of electricity starting now. It's The Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate. Good morning, Jersey Joe. Incident at Presbyterian involving Daniel High School. I do not know of which you speaketh, sir. I will find out. I don't know what you're talking about, though. Give me some deets, and I'll see if I can find out what you're talking about. I saw this. Oopsie. Stay right there, guys. BRB. weekend. I 1,000% was just that guy this weekend. I was that guy that you older folks complain about. These kids in front of their screens all the time. Yep, it was me. Look, between 2 Sundays before through the Thursday after, I spent, what is that? 5 and 4, 9 out of 13 days on the road between Atlanta and Charlotte. So this weekend was very much a get my life back together, get rested up, get caught up weekend for me. I had zero plans. It was like the only time the wife and I were leaving the house was to go see Fantastic Four yesterday because she wanted to go see Pedro. I wanted to go see Vanessa. It was good. We're going to talk about it a little bit later on the show. A spoiler-free take on Fantastic Four. And Lonzo did watch Happy Gilmore 2, which is our date night tonight. We're going to watch Happy Gilmore 2. I asked her last night.
Your and your wife, you said this twice, so it's not Rob and my date night. It's him and his wife's date night.
Yeah. Oh, I get what you're saying.
Yeah, because both times you said it that way, and it made it sound like we do our stuff during the day. So I mean,
yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
that's true. We have dates every day from like 10:15 to whenever I leave in the Fortress of Nerditude. Yeah, the wife and I will be having a date night to watch Happy Gilmore 2 tonight. I asked her last night because I was going to watch it last night. We got home. We went to a 4 o'clock movie, Fantastic Four. We got home. It was like 7:30, and I was going to boot it up, but I asked her before I did because do that, gentlemen. Trust me on that. I'm like, you got any interest in Happy Gilmore 2? She's like, yeah, actually I do. I said, great. We'll watch it tomorrow night. So we'll talk about those. But since that, I watched a bunch of NFL Network last night. I scrolled last night, the Instagram and the TikTok because I'm a child, and watched a bunch of college football hype videos like I did. Nothing that involved not being on my ass this weekend, and it was spectacular. So watched a bunch of stuff over the course of the weekend, and this might be 2 of my favorite weeks in NFL football. It's 2 of my favorite weeks because it's camp. Most of the teams, with the exception of Dallas and the LA Chargers, who will play Thursday night in the Hall of Fame game, most of the teams are or have been up until today or tomorrow in shells. Helmets, no shoulder pad, at most helmets and shoulder pads, but mostly helmets, jersey, shorts, no contact. Like let's just run the place. A couple of them have started getting into shells, right? Helmets and shoulder pads, no legs, no hips, whatever. Like light contact, minimum contact. Some of them have maybe had 1 full gear practice, but most teams are running like 7-on-7 stuff. And there are some camps that are very interesting. I'll tell you right now, I am now more locked in than I have been to the Atlanta Falcons camp. And I'll tell you why. Because I think there are 2 outcomes this year for the Atlanta Falcons. Outcome number 1 is they end up winning this division. Outcome number 2 is they implode. Now, I am in on Michael Penix Jr. He strikes me as a guy as long as the injury bug doesn't bite him again. I think Michael Penix Jr. has an opportunity to do something special this year. Got a very good offensive line in front of him. Got plenty of position on the outside. Of course, some of you guys are still waiting for the Kyle Pitts fantasy numbers to show up. We'll see. There's a lot of folks who think this is the breakout year for Kyle Pitts. Of course, it's been the breakout year for, I think, like 14 years now. But I'm interested because apparently the Falcons came to blows with themselves about 4 times in the last couple of practices. Like fights, like scuffles, like fights. And their new defensive coordinator yesterday was like, yep, that's kind of on us. We've been preaching play with aggression, play with violence, and now we have to learn how to manage that. I'm interested, right? Like, that's a storyline. But my favorite part about the next week or two, my favorite thing about the next week or two is very simply this. My favorite thing about the next week or two is fans. Because we're going to start seeing videos come out. It's already happened. Like Lonzo sent me one during the break of a long pass from Shedeur Sanders. Now, the Browns camp got very interesting over the weekend because Kenny Pickett went down with a hammy. And we don't know how bad it's going to be. He's going to be getting tested over the next couple of days. But he went down with a hamstring injury.
You mean the 5th string quarterback went down with
maybe the 5th string
it's
quarterback.
5, and I can't remember how many quarterbacks. There's a lot.
No joke, it's 4.
Is it 4? Okay.
It's Shedeur, Joe Flacco, Kenny Pickett, and Dylan Gabriel are the 4 in Cleveland right now.
And then there were 3. Okay.
So now there's 3 guys in for QB1. So Lonzo sent me during the break a video that was posted on Twitter of Shedeur Sanders throwing the rock. And for the record, pretty good football. About a 37, 40-yard pass in the air, good spiral, hit a dude in stride, over the top between 2 defenders, like a good-looking football. And, I looked at the video. And then after he sent it to me, I went and looked at, because this is my favorite thing during the next 2 weeks, preseason camp weeks, I went and I looked at the OG video that was posted. And I looked at the comments under the video, and it's just Browns fans like, that's the guy. He's our guy. He did it. That's our guy. As if the Browns haven't run through 53 different starting quarterbacks in the last 10 years, right? That's our guy. He's our dude. The Browns fans are super hyped because Shedeur dropped a couple of good passes in practice. It's my favorite part of the season because this is the part of the season where people start to pump up the expectations on teams that absolutely should not have any. And on the flip side, people start to pump up the expectations on teams that do reasonably have some. I was talking to a friend of mine from Florida who is now in New Orleans, and he was at the Saints had an open practice yesterday, and the open practice was effectively 7-on-7 camp, and then all the Saints players came, and the Saints do this every year, but they basically do kind of a mini fan fest. They had a brass band come out, do a second line, threw a parade, had some food, and just had the entire team come over and interact with the fans, sign autographs, whatever. My buddy brought his kid over there and got us some autographs. It's very cool. He was sending me pictures. Actually, he got one that I think even the great one will appreciate here, Lonzo, as he was over at the sideline, and his kid, my little godson Ezra, Cam Jordan just took his phone and took a selfie with him. Like that's one of the greatest New Orleans Saints of all time.
That's extremely
and it's
cool.
a great picture, right? Like I'll put it on the
picture.
stream. If you're not watching live stream, Facebook.com/TheFanUpstate, The Fan Upstate on YouTube and on Twitter, The Rob Brown Show on Facebook, on YouTube, and on Twitch. So like this is what the next week or two is. There's old Cam Jordan, one of like a New Orleans Saints legend. And he just grabbed my buddy's kid's phone and was like, I got you, dog, and took a selfie with him. It was very cool. But I got to talking to him, and I was like, how'd they look? And I felt real bad because the Saints are, by every measure, unless Spencer Rattler just turns into the dude that I think he can be with the full football team around him, which I hope that he does. I'm pulling for him. Heck, if only for the happiness of my house, I hope he does. Because the wife over the offseason, she went and bought herself a Spencer Rattler New Orleans Saints jersey. She's already said, if they don't start him over this new kid, I'm out. And I'm like, dude, I just got you in. I just got you in. If they go with Tyler Shuck over Spencer Rattler, that sucks for me. So I'm pulling for the kid. Obviously, I was pulling for him already. Now I'm like double pulling for Spence. So the Saints, they're optimistic about Kellen Moore. Sure, so am I. I had a guy from Philly on Bet for the Cycle on Saturday, and I was like, let me ask you a question. How much of the Eagles was Kellen Moore? How much of it was that's just the franchise? How much of it was Saquon Barkley? And he goes, keep it at a buck. Like a lot of it was Saquon Barkley. It's easy to play call when Saquon Barkley's back there. He said, but I'll tell you, having watched this offense the last couple of years, Kellen Moore's a good offensive brain. Like, he gets it. He understands it. He knows how to get the most out of guys. He said, I think a lot of coaches, as good as Saquon is, I think a lot of coaches likely would not gotten out of Saquon what you got out of Saquon this year. A lot of that's on Kellen Moore. So even I had a little boast of maybe there's something here, right? But the Saints are going to be dead last in this division. We're going to be fighting the Giants for the number one and the Browns for the number one overall draft pick next year. I see that in play already. But I watched practice. And I watched Tyler Shuck, and I watched Spencer Rattler, and I watched some clips that the Saints put out. And again, it's propaganda season, people. Just like we had the propaganda extravaganza the last 2 weeks of ACC and SEC media days. Clark Lee, coach of Vanderbilt, it's like we're going to make the playoffs this year. Vandy's going to the playoffs. Book it. We're ready. It's like, no, you're not. I love you. I think you're a great coach. I think if Vandy ever does make a playoff, it'll be because of you. But no, you ain't there yet. Like, Diego Pavia is not in that group. Like, he's a good player, but he ain't him, right? So it is, of course, all propaganda right now. But I watched both those boys spin the bean a little bit, and I'm like, maybe there is a little something here. Maybe they're dropping some dimes. Maybe there's some guys here. So it's propaganda season. It being propaganda season, as it was the last 2 weeks for college football, I am going to, and this is the question I have asked annually of college football teams. And we will do this later, probably next week. It will be the big week. But this is the week for the NFL with Hall of Fame games starting up on Thursday. We spent the last 2 weeks doing almost exclusively college football coverage. And obviously, we're going to do a lot of college football this week, too. We're well inside of a month away from college football. But I'm going to ask the NFL fans of the audience to chime in right now. I know that Greenville being obviously, Spartanburg being obviously a destination, a relocation destination for people from around these great United States. I don't drive to or home from work a day a week that I don't see Steelers stickers, Cowboy stickers, Eagles stickers, Falcon stickers, obviously a bunch of Panther stuff. I see NFL fans all over the place. So I know you're out there, and I would say that this station is, if you are an NFL fan, this station here in the upstate is like the NFL station. Like we do all the college football, we get a lot of NFL in here too. So with that being said, I'm going to ask you NFL fans, regardless of the team that you root for, Falcons, Panthers, Steelers, Bills, Chefs, Aints, whoever it is you root for, what is your realistic ceiling and roof for your football team this year? What is your realistic expectations for your team this year? Your expectations of the absolute best they can do, whether it is a Super Bowl or divisional championship or wild card spot, and what is the floor? What's the worst you're expecting? Because, as I say with the college kids every single year, I think ceiling and floor expectations from fans averaged together at the end of the year is the metric that we determine success and failure. We'll do it with the Gamecocks. I think the floor is 6-6 for me. I think the ceiling's 10-2 in a playoff spot. With Clemson, I think the floor is 8-4 and maybe the most disappointing season in a very long time for Clemson. I think the ceiling is 12-0, an ACC title, and a top 4 spot in the playoffs. Top 3 spot, top 2 spot in the playoffs. But I want to do it for the NFL. I'll give you mine right now before we go to break. The absolute ceiling for the New Orleans Saints is probably, I'm going to say 7-5. Not 7-5, that's a college number. I'm going to say 7-10, maybe 8-9. And I do not think there's a wild card spot in play. I think there are going to be too many very wild card caliber teams in the NFC. I think the Saints' ceiling is probably 7-10, 8-9. I think the floor is a 3-win season, and we're looking at a number 1 overall draft pick, certainly top 3 draft pick next year. That's the floor. That's where I am. Philip has already texted. He said, Rob, for the Panthers, the floor is 6 and the 6-11. The ceiling is 9-8. Philip, I think that's a good call. We'll address the Panthers' ceiling and floor next. I want your team's realistic ceiling and floor. Text it to 844-326-3663 or call that number. Get on the air. Let's talk about your NFL team. We're doing NFL preseason expectations today on the Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate. Yeah. Yeah, Joe, I found it. I'm going to read it up, see what I can find out, and see if there's anything to that. I'm reading through the website or through the store on the website, and all it says is the school district of Pickens County is investigating an incident that happened at a football camp. And that's an altercation. Law enforcement is involved. The district said, we are cooperating with Lawrence County law enforcement through their legal process. We want to emphasize that we fully recognize the seriousness of an altercation of this nature. While we are committed to helping our students learn and grow from their mistakes, we're also ensuring appropriate consequences are administered in line with it. So was there like a big fight or something? Presbyterian said on July 7th, Presbyterian College campus police were notified of an incident involving minor high school students who were participating in a Fellowship of Christian Athletes summer football camp. After an initial investigation of the incident, campus police followed protocol and referred the matter to the South Carolina Department of Juvenile Justice and the 8th Circuit Solicitor's Office. There were no PC students or personnel involved in the incident, nor was the camp sponsored by the college. FCA was renting the college's facilities. We do not tolerate any form of violence on our campus. We hope that due process and justice will be served appropriately. So I don't have any idea what happened. Was it like a fight? There's a Facebook page. Apparently there is video, but Cody Alcorn, who is on Facebook reporting about it, said that they need to verify the person who originally recorded it, get permission to use it, then blur faces of minors. It looks like maybe we had a group of players jump another player. Interesting. No, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know, Jersey Joe, what happened there, and I will go as far as to say, I obviously can't, but I'm not going to comment on it until I get more. Primarily because I don't know what happened. So. It was a fight. Evidently, a kid got jumped by other players, and several players stood by and watched it happen. That's the context, April, that I'm picking up on, and that there may be some potentially racial undertones to it, which football, I don't know. So like I said, I just don't think right now, for me personally, not the time to say anything about it yet. The Rob Brown Show is back on your radio. It is the Fan Upstate. I am Rob Brown. He is the great Alonzo. We are absolutely elated to be with you this and every weekday from 6 until 10 a.m. We were flying through the opening segment, which is absolute gas and electricity because it is NFL Hall of Fame week, and I do have to retract and correct because in my haste to fly through that segment, I made a mistake. It is not the Dallas Cowboys playing the LA Chargers on Thursday. It is the Detroit Lions. I got my teams that wear silver and white confused, primarily because I wanted to get back to the conversation that we were having about some of the information, some of the news, some of the deets that we got over the weekend. So that's on me. That's my bad.
I am curious if a longtime Detroit Lions fan, Mark Ryan, is going to be at that game.
It's a great question. And by the way, thanks to Zach on Twitter for pointing out that I misspoke there. I appreciate you keeping me honest on Twitter at GoodBoyZach. That's a good handle. That's a good handle. I don't know if because the handle there is the handle is great. The picture is of a dog, so I'm wondering if am I getting tweeted from a dog on a Twitter account?
Does that make the correction better or worse?
Yeah, 100%.
Okay,
being kept honest by a dog is the best way to be kept honest.
I'm sure Detroit fans are very offended that you get those mixed up. Detroit and
I'm offended.
Dallas,
It's like get it right.
They do both start with a D, so
they both wear very similar looking uniforms.
Yeah, but one of them is a winning team. Right now. Well, I guess Dallas is one.
Dallas is a winning team, just not after Week 18. Is their big problem.
Yeah.
I appreciate the correction there, Zach. Appreciate you keeping me honest. Thank you very much.
You know what? I guess Detroit doesn't really either. So I mean,
fair enough. Also, real quick, because I do want to get to the Carolina Panthers here. I do want to set our ceiling and floor expectation for the Carolina Panthers this year. But before we do, I had this conversation on Bet for the Cycle on Saturday, noon to 4 on the BetMGM network, by the way, if you ever want to check that out with myself and former Major League Baseball player Cody Decker. It's a show that started as a baseball show, but they liked us so much now it's a year-round all the sports show that does focus on baseball. And with the trade deadline the same Thursday as Thursday's going to be both an electric day and absolutely suck for me because it is MLB trade deadline at 4 o'clock. Which means I'm going to be locked in on baseball all day. And then at 4:01 p.m., outside of like breaking down the analysis of what final day moves get made in the MLB and how they'll impact the season, then it's mentality shift over to the NFL's Hall of Fame game. So I was having this conversation with the boys on Bet for the Cycle on Saturday, and we were talking about some of the expectations of playoff teams from last year. Effectively, we were analyzing teams that made it in, and we'll do this a little bit later in the show. I'll give you some of the answers we came up with on Saturday, see where you agree and disagree. But we looked at all of the playoff teams from last year and wanted to take a stab at what teams will make it and what teams will not make it back. So we were talking about the Detroit Lions, and my answer was, I do think Detroit will make it back. I think it'll be much closer this year because I absolutely do believe sincerely that the NFC North may be the most competitive division in football. I do think that the Chicago Bears are going to look different. I'm not saying they're like going to suddenly be a 14-win team. I think they can win 10. I think they win 10. We'll see. And unless I'm just wrong, and unless it really is just that Caleb Williams isn't a good player, but I don't believe that to be the case. We'll find out.
There's been reports from camp, but it's
there has, and they're not good. At the same time, you're talking about his first week on the field under not just a new head coach, but under like an entirely new team, franchise, new head coach, new offensive coordinator, new defensive coordinator, new players. Remember Joe Thuney, former Chief? He's on that O-line now. Different O-line. Like he's probably, I hope, not going to be running for his life, blah, 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 blah. I do think the NFC North is going to be probably the best division overall in football. But I do think the Detroit Lions may very well still be the best team in that division. I think there's a chance Minnesota could kind of change that a little bit, depending on what J.J. McCarthy is. I was wrong about every other quarterback in last year's draft class with the exception of Jaden Daniels, so we'll see if I got it wrong about J.J. McCarthy too, blah, 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 blah. Point is, I said I do think the Detroit Lions get back. Here's the issue. Here's the question. We all know what Dan Campbell is. We all know who Dan Campbell is. Dan Campbell is maybe the most entertaining football coach in the NFL because of who Dan Campbell is, both as a coach and a personality. And my fear for the Detroit Lions is that the same thing happens this year, which is this team has no break. This team is all throttle, full gas, no break, all sand, yeet, all the time. And if that is the case, is what happened to them last year. Remember, when they got to the playoffs last year, they had 50 dudes on the IR. Like a lot of starters on the injured reserve. So when they got to the playoffs last year, they were the most banged up team in the NFL playoffs. And I think that is the reason that there was such a downshift from the team that was one of the best in the league all regular season long to a team that really was not them in the playoffs. And I think that has to do with attitude. Like, I think you've got to realize at some point we got to pull the throttle back a little bit. Like, we're in. We're booked. We're going to win the division. Maybe let's lay off. Remember, week 18, they were like, are you guys going to lay down? I was like, no, we're going to win this damn football game. And they went hard, and they got a couple of guys hurt in week 18. So I wonder if that plays out. We'll come back to that. I do want to spend a minute here on the Carolina Panthers. I am asking you NFL fans of all teams, all 32 squads, what are your ceiling and floor expectations for your team? What is the best and the worst you think your team can do? Because that's how we measure success and failure. So I want to do that for these Carolina Panthers, and I want to start, great one, I want to start with our floor expectations for the Carolina Panthers this year. The worst that this team can look. Real quick look at the schedule. Won't spend any time on the games here, but just to kind of have it in the mindset. They open September 7th at Jacksonville. The very next week on the road at Arizona. 7 days later, back home for their first home game, a divisional game against the Atlanta Falcons. Then it's on the road at New England, back home for back-to-backers against the Dolphins and the Cowboys, on the road to visit Justin Fields, fingers crossed, and the Jets. Then on the road at Buffalo. Back home for an NFC North competition, at home against Buffalo. Then back on the road at Green Bay. Division game number 2 is 11-9 against the Saints. Then it's to Atlanta, to San Francisco, back home for the Rams. On the road in New Orleans December 14th. 7 days later, back home for the Buccaneers. Back-to-back games that are TBD right now. At home against the Seahawks, then on the road at the Buccaneers to end the season. With that knowledge, with what we've seen so far, with the draft class they've added, Lonzo, what is your floor? What is the worst possible outcome? Realistic. What's the worst possible outcome for the Carolina Panthers this year?
Probably 6 wins would be the floor. You said the worst. They're going to win at least 6 games. The thing is, also, all you got to do is win 9 games, and you're going to win the South. I mean, that's been kind of the benchmark for the last, 5 or 6 years? So, I mean, that's how close it is, 6 to 9 games, and you can win the South. And I am very optimistic. I don't want to be, because I don't want to be let down again, but I'm very optimistic.
So then let me just ask this and get this one out of the way before I get to mine. Is the ceiling win the division?
Yeah.
Is that in the cards?
Yeah. You're probably going to get your butt kicked in the first round of the playoff, but yeah. I mean, the thing is, as bad as they've been right there for a few years, that close to winning a division because the division's been so bad.
Sure. Is there any faith for you? Because this was a conversation I've had a couple of times. There's a lot of folks right now who are picking the Atlanta Falcons to win this division. They think that with the coaching turnover, with Michael Penix Jr. taking over as quarterback, with some additions to the offensive line, some additions to the defense, a lot of people think that the Falcons are there. The Falcons are in that team to me of like, I'll believe it when I see it. I'll trust that franchise when they give me a reason to trust them. Historically speaking, they're a team that just always comes up shy of expectations, and that's just kind of what that team is. I really do think this year it is a race between Atlanta, Carolina, and Tampa Bay to get to 10 wins.
Comes down to defenses. I mean, who has the best defense? I mean, because the offenses all seem to be improved, especially in Carolina. The offensive line, supposedly better, which would give Bryce Young a little more time. Receiving core has improved compared to what it was. You're getting some guys back that were injured last year, so we'll see. I think it comes down to defense. I think the offenses in all 3 places will be pretty good, but the defenses, it's whoever's the worst. And right now, that's what Carolina has to worry about because they're probably the worst.
I honestly have zero issue with that take at all. Floor for me for the Carolina Panthers. By the way, I see your text coming in at 844-326-3663. I'm going to read those here in just a moment before we go to a break. The ceiling for me for this team, I think the ceiling for me for this team is 10-7. And let's be real, Carolina fans, 10-7, you're losing your freaking minds, right? Like that, what a season. 10-7 is the ceiling. And I do think that there is a chance that Tampa, Atlanta, and Carolina could all finish with the same record. I really do. And it may be a round robin of victories. I think, honestly, I might be shocked if this. I won't be shocked because it's the NFL, and like sometimes the worst teams beat the best teams. Like a couple of years ago, the Denver Broncos were garbage. I think they pulled an upset on the Chiefs for like no reason in the middle of the season. It happens, but realistically, I think the Saints are like at best going 2-4 in the division. Maybe not. Maybe 1-5. I think it's a three-way race between Atlanta, New Orleans, and Tampa Bay. And I do think Lonzo's onto something there. I think it may very well come down to which of these teams has put together the best defense predominantly and primarily. There's what I'm trying to say. I also think coaching goes along into this. Like, I think it is going to be a three-way spot, and I think that with both Tampa Bay and Atlanta being led by defensive coaches, Dave Canales might be the edge for edging out a couple of these teams in defensive struggles. I've never been off the Bryce Young hype wagon. I'm driving the Bryce Young hype wagon because there was a minute there where I was the only one on it. So I scooted on into the driver's seat. All right, y'all can all pile in the back. I think the kid proves something. By the way, I watched some video yesterday of XL working out with a jugs machine. They are firing footballs at this kid at like 100 miles an hour, and he is like soft hands. Again, that's no pads, no helmet, whatever. Difference in doing it, running a 9 right down the sideline. I'm kind of pumped about XL, especially with the pressure being off, because I also saw some clips from Tet McMillan. Dude, this kid might be special. Now, real quick before we go to a break, we'll talk more about this because I think the ceiling for the Panthers, I'm going to say 10-7 divisional championship. Could be 10-7, maybe second or third, fighting for a wild card spot. I think the floor is 5-12. I think this thing, like, if the floor is 5-12, that's if there's a big Bryce Young regression. That's if Tetero and McMillan ain't the guy. We'll find out. Texter says the Bengals go 13-4 with the defense bolstered by youth and hungry vets, finishes top 5 in sacks and red zone stops. The Bengals floor 7-10. Internal tensions boil over. Higgins walks in free agency. Chase's frustration becomes public. Joe goes home, Joe goes home to the Saints to mentor Arch Manning. Texter, I was about to say I don't like anything about your text, but now I'm all in on it. Wow. Now I think it's the greatest text I've ever gotten. Joe Burrow says, screw the Bengals. I'm going to New Orleans. I'm going to win in 5 Super Bowls and then hand the reins off to Arch. Yes, sir. Great text. Brian says, my 49ers high 12-5, low 8-9. Philip says the Panthers floor 6-11, ceiling is 9-8. I think that's good. Texter says over under games Rattler starts. I'll talk about that a little bit from now because I know some of the Gamecock fans have been asking me. I shall address when we come back. Water Cooler Cheat Sheet, top 3 sports stories you need to know now. The best 60 seconds of your morning until 60 minutes from now when he does an even better one. It's a Lonzo Sports Flash.
I hope you're having a better morning than this. Not that this is going to be bad. The Atlanta Braves were swept by the Texas Rangers in a 3-game set, dropping the finale yesterday 8-1. Bryce Elder took his 7th loss of the year, giving up 6 hits and all 8 runs in just 2.2 innings of work. Offensively, Atlanta had just 4 hits and had just 5 at-bats with runners in scoring position. They're not good. Bubba Wallace overcame a rain delay, 2 overtimes, and a late fuel scare to outpace defending winner Kyle Larson to become the first black driver to win a major race at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. The win is Wallace's 3rd on the NASCAR Cup circuit and punches his ticket to the NASCAR Cup Series postseason. Angels outfielder Mike Trout sent a 2-run shot deep to the center field in the 4-1 win over Seattle's last night, recording a pair of runs that moved him past 1,000 career RBIs for his career. That's pretty good.
I also judge away. spent more time than I'm comfortable acknowledging watching video game tutorials on YouTube over the weekend.
For what?
I also did add the times 10 XP mod on Baldur's Gate. So I played through like the grotto in the first couple of missions, and I made a warlock because I've never really done I've never played a magic character that I've played like long in a game. So I was just like, let me just say, dude, when you get to where you have like 9, 10 spell slots, it's such a different game. It's such a different game than when you're level 1 with 2 spots, and it's like, I don't want to cast anything because I don't know when we're going to do anything.
Well, I knew that this last playthrough was probably going to be my last playthrough unless something happened.
Yeah.
So I had a ton of mods on there. I just wanted to get to the end. It still took a while.
Yep.
And I had the polyamory thing on, so all the love interests, so I could see all the endings. And they all think that you're with them at the end,
Yeah.
so you get all that. It was, again, it's been one of the best games in a really long time. And I don't know that they can do another game in that genre that's going to match that.
Yeah, that's. There was this one dude who was posting videos where he knows what's going to happen, but he goes and he does stuff that will impact an event he's about to go through. So he'll go and he'll steal something that is kind of a story driver for a character that you meet. He'll go invisible, steal that thing, and then go have the interaction. And it's crazy how deep they went with when they developed this game, giving the characters reactions to what would happen in that moment if the thing that they were about to introduce as a MacGuffin isn't in their inventory.
Speaking of reactions, there's another mod that you may want to try that adds facial expressions to all of them, and that's pretty cool.
I saw that one. I didn't upload it, but I saw it.
Yeah.
I looked through. There's 70 that were in the mod shop, and I looked at a few of them. I added the bag of holding because I hate being encumbered. I don't when I DM I don't care about that.
I had the bag of holding, but I also have carry weight extended, so I don't need a bag of holding. So
Fair. Zach says Ravens 13-3. What's your floor, Zach? I care about that too. I agree with you.
Maybe that is his floor.
Yeah, baby. The Rob Brown Show back on your radio. The Monday edition of the show rolls on. Rob Brown, the Great One Lonzo, and you. You can be a part of the show this morning at 844-326-3663. 844-FANFONE. Annually, in the world of college football, with a couple of weeks left before the season, I ask our college fans in the audience, what is genuinely the ceiling and the floor for your team in the preseason? And I am going to do that again. This is not a different year by any stretch of the imagination. I will ask you college fans to answer that question for me coming up sometime in the next week or two. But I am asking that question now of the NFL fans in the audience, of which I know that there are a lot of you because I'm a man out and about the town and I see you all the time. So, what is the ceiling and what is the floor for your NFL team in 2025? Lonzo, when I did the Carolina Panthers, Lonzo says the floor is 6 wins, the ceiling is 10-7?
No, 9.
9-8, and in the mix for the division. My ceiling is 10-7 with the divisional championship. My floor is 6-11, and we asked the question at the end of the year, are we really making forward momentum? And we will talk a little bit more about that, about the Carolina Panthers expectations as the show rolls on. But I also want all of the NFL teams, all of you fans around the football verse that we live in here in the upstate of South Carolina to give me your answers and your thoughts about your NFL team, no matter who it might be.
By the way, real quick, let's get this out of the way. Kansas City, the floor is winning the AFC West. The ceiling obviously is winning the Super Bowl, which I mean, they've like been in it almost every year the last 5 years or 6 years, something like that. So
I think that is fair. I ask you, though, you have described it as impossible for you. Sincerely, do your best to take off the fan cap.
Oh,
are the Broncos a threat to you this year? Because I think they might be. Not like guarantee you that they're going to get it done. I just think they could pick you off once and make it interesting.
Out of if any team in the West is going to be competitive with the Chiefs, it's going to be Denver. Yes.
I agree. All right, we'll do this for all 32 NFL teams over the course of the week as we get ready for the NFL Hall of Fame game on Thursday night. Texter says Panthers ceiling is 11-6 with the floor being 6-11. NFC South will be separated by 3 or 4 games top to bottom at the end of the year. The top 3 teams in the NFC South. My team will not be 3 or 4 games within the divisional winner. We stink. I hope I am wrong. Texter said, as a Gamecock fan, I have been saying for a minute that if the Saints start shook over Rattler, I will be super and utterly PO'd. To not reward Spencer for what he went through last season is a travesty. I totally agree with that, although it's the NFL. We don't do rewards and feel-goods. We do who's going to help us win right now. Doesn't matter who that is. I do agree with you. It is less about rewarding Spencer Rattler and more about the fact that I don't think Rattler ever got a fair shake last year. I know we got, 5 starts? I also don't think, if I recall correctly, I don't think he started a game where he had more than either 2 or 3 of his offensive line that started week 1. Chris Olave got knocked out in that Carolina game. He didn't have his number one, or his most talented receiver, Chris Olave. Alvin Kamara was dinged up all season last year. Didn't have his best running back. I don't think he had a chance last year to really show who and what he can be. With a full squad, I do hope that Kellen Moore gives him the start in week 1. Says, Tyler Shuck, we're gonna give you some time. May not be the whole year, may be the whole year depending on what Rattler does, but we're gonna start you on the bench and give you some time to XP up, to level up. We'll find out. We'll talk about that a little bit later on. When we get there, I appreciate the texts. Keep them coming. 844-326-3663. I will be reading the text line in real time throughout the course of the show. NFL fans, what is the ceiling? What is the floor for your NFL team this year? Let's set some expectations before the preseason gets started. But it is 7:05 in the morning. You have less than 54 minutes until you've got to be at the office. You have got to do the 12 to 14 minutes of actual work to go ahead and get your Monday started off. And then you're going to take 12 to 15 minutes of a good solid break to walk down the hallway to go find Janet from Accounts Receivable. Big sports fan. You love talking football with Janet. If you're going to do that, you really do got to know what's going on. And if you really do got to know what's going on. I'll get through this, I promise. Worry not, dear friends. That is why every morning, shortly after 7 o'clock, Lonzo and I do this.
Are you ready for the playbook of the peculiar, the almanac of the absurd, and the encyclopedia of the extraordinary? Well, you better be, because we're diving headfirst into the 3 top stories that will have your coworkers saying,
Buddy? Deep,
Pal.
they take their first bathroom break.
No. Here we go.
Welcome to the water cooler cheat sheet on the Fan Upstate.
It is indeed the water cooler cheat sheet, the top 3 sports stories that you need to know before you get to the office and start talking sports this AM. When you do, this is what you'll be talking about. Let us dive right in with item number 1. With football season rapidly approaching, the NFL Hall of Fame game, as we have mentioned a lot of times this AM, is Thursday next week. Full NFL preseason week 1 slate. Fortunately, mercifully, the Atlanta Braves will stop making the water cooler cheat sheet with the regularity that they have been making the water cooler cheat sheet. Now, I'm not going to talk about the 8-1 loss last night to the Texas Rangers, a game in which Bryce Elder, who I've got to imagine is getting to the end of what has been a unspectacular MLB career. 2.2 innings, 6 hits, 8 runs surrendered, 4 walks, 3 strikeouts, and a big dong given to the Rangers before he got yanked. He gave up all 8 in an 8-1 loss. Also a game in which the Atlanta Braves went 4 for 30 with 1 RBI. The only RBI came from Sean Murphy, the only Brave with a hit while runners in scoring position. They have 5 at-bats with runners in scoring positions. They went 1 for 5. Sean Murphy 1 for 2. Albies, Allen, and Harris the second all went 0 for 1. Awful, atrocious, no good, very bad offensive day for Atlanta. It's like they're going to go on these runs. They're going to have games where they're going to pop 11 on the board, and then they're going to have 4 where they pop 1 on the board. Welcome to the 2025 Atlanta Braves. I'm not going to talk about that game. There's no need to. It sucked. I quite literally actively avoided watching it. Like, no, I'm going to watch NFL preseason practices before I watch this team. What I will tell you about is that the Braves are active heading to the trade deadline. Now, not in the way that you would think they would be. This is a sell year. This is a year the Braves should move on from any pieces that are not considered long-term portions of this team. But as I've been telling you the last couple of weeks, the unfortunate part for the Atlanta Braves is that there's just not a lot of guys that are in that group. There's just not a lot of dudes that are available to be moved. There's a few. I would not be shocked if Marcell Ozuna is no longer a Brave by the end of the week, or I should say by Thursday, which has been interesting because Ozuna is a dude that appears, we talked about this a lot last week with one certain professional wrestler, appears to have kind of changed his ways. He got into a lot of trouble. Remember, got the domestic violence charge. Since then, and again, not that is forgivable, but since then has kept his nose clean, has kept out of the spotlight, has really kind of been the, from what I understand, ultimate locker room, clubhouse dude. No issues with the cops, no issues with the law, no issues with the team, whatever. But at the same time, also been dealing with a hip injury, hasn't been able to put up numbers. Any team who wants him, likely going to be a team that believes they have a run at a World Series. Likely going to be a team that already feels like they've got the division within grasp the way they are built, and they can afford to let him sit the next 4 or 5 weeks to get that health, that hip 100%. That means probably not a huge return for Marcell Ozuna. On the flip side, not a lot of sluggers on the list, so maybe you get a little bit more than you thought. We'll see what the market shapes up to be over the next 4 days as we make it to Thursday at 4 p.m. when the deadline hits. But the Braves do have some other moves that they have made over the last couple of days. Jesse Chavez was sent down. Jesse Chavez then said, nah, I don't want to play minor league ball again. I'm retired. 18 years in the league. I believe he had 73 different stints with the Atlanta Braves. And Jesse Chavez called it a career. A few days ago, Stuart Fairchild was designated for assignment and then was traded to Tampa Bay in return for cash consideration. Stuart Fairchild added to give the Rays a little bit of depth. The Braves get a little bit of money that they can put towards a player in the future. They did recall Dylan Dodd from Gwinnett and Hunter Stratton from Gwinnett. At the same time, sent Wander Suero down to Gwinnett and Davis Daniel down to the Stripers. 3 days ago, Austin Riley, going into that series against the G-Men, was brought off of the 10-day IL. And to make room for him, Nacho Alvarez Jr. was sent back down to Gwinnett. He was on the IL. He will go down and rehab with the Stripers. And then yesterday, we had another flurry of moves from Atlanta. They recalled Daysbel Hernandez from Gwinnett. They sent Grant Holmes to the 15-day IL, then turned around a few hours later and added Grant Holmes to the 60-day IL. By the way, of the starting 5 pitchers on the Braves rotation on opening day, there is only one that has not missed significant time, and that is Bryce Elder, the worst one on the rotation, just to kind of let you know what the Braves have been dealing with. But Grant Holmes to the 60-day DL down in Gwinnett. The Braves did make one move. They acquired righty Eric Fetty from St. Louis for future considerations. It's not going to cost a lot. Fetty's not that good. They just brought this guy up because they're out of arms and they need somebody to eat innings that they're not concerned about. They can let him go out there and eat up 7-8 innings, even if the pitch counts are routinely getting up into the 90s and low 100s. That's the point of that move. The Braves have have, and I am comfortable saying this now, and obviously you're 16 games off of the division. You are now, congratulations, Bravos. You are now 4th place in the NL East and a full 1 1/2 games ahead of the Washington Nationals, now a full 6 games back of the Miami Marlins. So the Braves have punted on the season, probably a handful of weeks too late, but it doesn't really matter because there's just not much that they can do about it. Let's get to item number 2. The NASCAR postseason playoff bracket is beginning to take shape. Now officially locked in is Bubba Wallace. Took a victory at the Brickyard yesterday, becomes the first black driver to win any major race at the Brickyard's 2.5 mile track. It is his 3rd NASCAR Cup victory of his career, delivered in one of the 4 Crown Jewel events. Also won the 500, the others being the 500, Coke 600, and Southern 500. It also snapped a 100 race winless streak for Bubba Wallace that dated back to 2022 at Kansas, and it did grab him a playoff spot. The other win for Bubba, the last win for Bubba, coming at Talladega back in 2021. He was able to outpace defending champ Kyle Larson by 0.2 of a second. There was a pair of overtimes. When the overtime flag for the second OT was dropped, there were concerns that Bubba Wallace may very well run out of gas. In fact, he at one point on the radio was saying he was concerned, asked if they wanted to take the risk to come in and get gas so at the very least they could finish. Bubba Wallace said, absolutely not. We're going back to racing. I want to race. It was a good thing he did. Bubba Wallace gets the win. First black driver at any major race in Indianapolis and locks himself into the playoff race with a win. The drivers that are for sure in because of wins: Denny Hamlin, Kyle Larson, Chris Bell, Shane Van Gisbergen, Chase Elliott, William Byron, Ryan Blaney, Chase Briscoe, Bubba Wallace, Joey Logano, Ross Chastain, Austin Cindric, and Josh Berry. If anybody wins between here and the start of the playoffs, they will get into that nod. There are no other winners as of right now. Your top 3 playoff drivers without a win are Tyler Reddick, Alex Bowman, and Chris Buescher. Just outside of the cutoff, Ryan Preece, Kyle Busch, Ty Gibbs, AJ Allmendinger, Michael McDowell, John Hunter Nemechek, Eric Jones, and Carson Hocevar, last year's Rookie of the Year. All of those are the drivers with over 400 drivers points, but likely anybody from Priest on down because of the disparity. Chris Buescher has 559 points, Ryan Preece 517. Anybody who wants in at this point will likely have to find a win down the stretch. Just for keeping it interesting, Brad Keselowski 25th in points, Todd Gilliland 28th, Austin Dillon 30th in points, Ty Dillon 32nd, Cole Custer 33rd. And in case you're keeping track, Jimmy Johnson has 35 points and is currently 38th in the standing. So congrats. He's not going to make it in. I don't think Jimmy's going to make it in. What with the not racing any more races the rest of the year? We'll see what happens. Texter said a fan threw a beer can on the track on the white flag lap in front of Bubba. I saw that a minute ago. I actually did see that. I'm going to hope that was just a drunk NASCAR fan being a drunk NASCAR fan and not anything specifically against Bubba. But I'm sure there will be a full investigation from NASCAR. We'll find out. But Bubba Wallace now locked into the postseason playoffs. Let's get to item number 3. Virginia Tech is starting their own investigation. At a media event on Friday, North Carolina Central coach Trey Oliver was asked the most ridiculous moment he has faced in coaching, and his response, while intended, I think, to kind of be like a ha-ha funny moment at a media days, instead has sparked a bit of a controversy that we're going to talk about coming up here in just a moment. Oliver said that during a game last year, he found, his words, not mine, a Virginia Tech assistant coach on the sideline for a North Carolina Central game, and he claimed that the Virginia Tech assistant coach was there to lure his star running back Jamari Taylor into the transfer portal. Oliver told reporters, according to WRAL News, quote, Virginia Tech was actually on my sideline recruiting our running back. That was pretty bold. I could not believe it. Oliver did not name the running back, but he said the player later transferred to Virginia. Taylor was a first-team all-conference player who is now at Virginia. Oliver said he needed assistant coaches to calm him down on the sideline, noting several told him, quote, he's just down here visiting. Oliver said, but I knew what it was. Virginia Tech released a statement Saturday saying this was the first time the issue had been raised and that the school would investigate. The team said, quote, this is the first time the issue has been brought to our attention and no concern has previously been shared with us through any formal channel. Virginia Tech takes all NCAA rules seriously and is committed to conducting our program with integrity. We are reviewing the matter internally and will address any findings appropriately, end quote. So, we're going to talk about this coming up in a minute because this is a very big deal. It is a big deal that it happened. It is a big deal that it has been acknowledged publicly, even if it was kind of as a one-off story time story. And it is a big deal that Virginia Tech is getting involved. You know what else it is a big deal because of? This may be the first time that, if proven it happened, the College Sports Commission can act with any level of authority and any level of disciplinary capability. And more importantly, it may be the first time that the boundaries of their abilities to do that are pushed. We are going to talk about that when we come back because this could be a very big deal. I am looking for the remainder of your show for your NFL's team ceiling and floor realistic expectations. Text them to 844-326-3663. We'll talk about that a little bit later on in the show. The Rob Brown Show is live on the Fan Upstate.
Three friends.
All right, guys, quick live coming right back. Stay right there for me, please, and thank you. Braitman Lonzo and you. I have asked you all this AM for your realistic NFL expectations this year. Your ceilings and your floors for your favorite NFL team. We have given you ours for the Carolina Panthers, for the New Orleans Saints, for the Kansas City Chiefs. The Chiefs and Saints obviously being Lonzo and I's personal teams. The Panthers being the team we cover the most. We're going to do the Atlanta Falcons and Buccaneers, both in the NFC South, coming up a little bit later on in the show. And then we will do the teams that we expect to be ceiling, Super Bowl, and floor first-round pick or first overall pick coming up later on in the show. In the meantime, I am asking you to shoot your text with your realistic ceilings and floors for your NFL teams to 844-326-3663. But I want to get away from the NFL and get back to college football for just a minute here, because this story that was number 3 on the water cooler cheat sheet out of college football has gained a lot of traction over the weekend. The story actually broke on Saturday, but I do think it was big enough to be included a few days later in the water cooler cheat sheet because of the potential. And I want to capitalize that, italicize it, bold it, and underline it, potential for what this story could theoretically turn into over the next week, month, whatever, we'll find out. North Carolina Central coach Trey Oliver, by the way, let's play our favorite game. What's the mascot of the North Carolina Central Eagles out of the MEAC? Anybody got a guess?
Dude, you just said the Eagles.
Oh, damn. I'm bad at this.
You said it.
It's been a long...
I'm going to go with the Eagles, Rob.
Damn, you're good at this, Lonzo. You're real good at this. Wow. Good job, me. All right. Well, let's not play that game then, shall we? North Carolina Central coach Trey Oliver was asked about the most ridiculous moments he has faced in coaching, and his response set off alarms according to the state of Virginia, according to ESPN. Oliver said he found a Virginia Tech assistant coach on the sideline for one of North Carolina Central's games last year and suggested the coach was there to lure his star running back Jamari Taylor into the transfer portal. Oliver told reporters assembled, according to WRAL News, quote, Virginia Tech was actually on my sideline recruiting our running back. That was pretty bold. I couldn't believe it, end quote. No, Oliver did not drop that the name was Jamari Taylor. He just said one of my players, but he did go on to mention that the player did transfer to Virginia and was a very good player. Well, Jamari Taylor was a first-team all-conference player and is now on Virginia's roster. So that's him, basically. Oliver said that he found out during the game and that he needed assistant coaches to calm him down on the sideline, noting several assistant coaches told him, quote, he's just down here visiting, end quote. Oliver, however, went on to say, quote, but I knew what it was, end quote. So I will start with this. Was there a conversation? Can it be proved there was a conversation? Can it be proved that this Virginia Tech assistant coach was having a conversation with Jamari Taylor? Because if they can't prove that there was a conversation, then it is very possible that the Va-Tech coach was there just visiting. Now, I think it is fair to ask the question, if it was football season, why was the Va-Tech coach visiting? Now, again, there could be a bevy of very good reasons that he was there that don't involve tampering, that don't involve doing something against the NCAA or, I guess, College Sports Commission's rules on tampering and recruiting of active players. But I'd be curious what the justification was for him being there and being on the sideline. I'm not saying there are no good ones. I'm just saying I do want to know what the reason is. The second thing is, as we mentioned, can we determine if a conversation was held between the Virginia Tech assistant coach and Amari Taylor? Because it is very possible that he was indeed just visiting, and this is a head coach in Trey Oliver that is being overprotective of his program, which, yeah, you should be as a head coach. Dare I say, maybe overprotective, bordering on the realm of paranoid about it. And even if there was a conversation about or between the Virginia Tech assistant coach, whoever it may be. They are, as of this moment, unnamed. Even if there was a conversation between this coach and Jamari Taylor, can it be proven that it was about, hey, man, hit the portal? Like, can anybody verify that?
Assistant coach an employee of Connor Stallions?
That's a great question. I'm going to guess no, but again, unnamed, so we don't know. If it can be proven that he was there, that he had a conversation about Jamari Taylor, and that conversation involved trying to talk Jamari Taylor into the transfer portal, then we have a developing story here. And we have a developing story because those things, tampering with an active player, having a conversation with an active player, trying to tempt an active player into the transfer portal to come to Virginia Tech, trying to tempt that player into making a move would be against the rules, regulations, guidelines put into place by the NCAA and the rules, regulations, and protocols in place to be monitored, tracked, and enforced by the College Sports Commission. So I will say, if this story goes nowhere down the line, don't be totally shocked, because it will need to be proven that that happened for there to be a conversation. If the Virginia Tech coach, when investigated, comes out and says, yes, I was at that game, and I was at that game because blank. I was taking a kid to see the game, and I just utilized my sway to get field access. Your boy Rob Brown loves going to games on a press pass that come with allowed field access. There is something special, and there is a different perspective on the game that can be gained by watching it from the field. So if he had a justifiable, valid reason to be on the field, hey, it is what it is. Did he have a conversation with Jamari Taylor? It is very possible that Jamari Taylor maybe saw a dude on the sideline with a Virginia Tech hat or jacket or whatever and was like, yo, let me go talk to that guy. Let me go ask that guy what he's looking at, what he sees. Maybe he'll have some input for me, right? And then can you prove that the conversation was, hey, jump in the portal, we got you at Va-Tech. Come on up to Blacksburg, you'll be our guy. Now, why is this interesting if those three things can be proven? The reason this would be interesting, and to some degree in a weird way, I hope it is. I hope it is proven that there was a conversation and that it was about tampering. And I hope it can be proven because this could be potentially the first very clear violation of the rules and protocols, even though it definitively happened before the establishment of the College Sports Commission. It is the first major story about a rules violation since the College Sports Commission was started. And so if it falls under the purview, if those things were done, can be proven, and if this does fall under the jurisdiction of the College Sports Commission, this could be the first time that the College Sports Commission has a genuine moment where they can say, we're stepping in, we're enforcing the rules, and here's the penalty, and see who, if anybody, pushes back. Because remember, I've said a lot of the CSC questions aren't going to be answered until they try to do anything and a school and a player or an agent pushes back. If they push back, maybe we start to get some answers answered by courts, which is where I think most of our answers are going to come from. We'll talk more about this later on in the week as this story continues to develop. The Rob Brown Show is on your radio. It is The Fan Upstate. All right, guys, hang out right there. We will be right back. Jacob, that is, again, like that's kind of one of my questions, right? Like, does the CSC have authority to retroactively enforce a rule that was violated before? Now, again, like some of the rules the CSC is playing under or legislating, governing, disciplining, whatever you want to say, are rules that were already in place, right? Like you can't go to a field and start having a conversation with a player on another team. That was in place before the House settlement. Like that's just been a rule. So I don't know the answer to that. But again, I don't know a lot of answers to a lot of questions about the CSC because I don't know what the authority is going to be. I don't know how respected they're going to be. I don't know how many states are going to go, you don't have the right to govern our state institutions, only we do. Like, I don't know what the pushbacks are going to be. That's why, again, I've been saying for a number of weeks now, I think a lot of these questions we want answers to probably aren't going to be answered until the envelope is pushed and until courts and legislators start to step in and challenge them or not. We'll see. Stay right there, guys. Be right back. Bringing us back just because we just had a Goofy movie reference moments ago, and my morning's made now.
All right, I'm researching this just because, KFC.com. It's not pizza, it's cheesa. It's a real thing.
Is it like...
Oh, that's old. Though that's from February.
We didn't hear about it. That seems like one of those things that would have crossed my...
I would have already taste tested that. I mean...
Yeah. In fairness, I'm going to say this. You all know my standing on fried chicken restaurants. Popeyes is it. There isn't a question mark. That's a statement of fact, not a debate. That being said, KFC chicken used to be better than it is now, right? Didn't it used to be better than it is now?
Still tastes good to me.
I mean, it's fine, but it used to be better. Or maybe I just, because like,
KFC, Popeyes, and Bojangles all have distinctive tastes.
I agree with that entirely.
And I think it just, for me, it's just what I'm in the mood for. It's not, I don't pick one, this is better over the other.
I like that they made his stool green to fit in on the green screen, but it didn't pick up. So now he's just a dork floundering, laying, Tebowing on a stool.
Oh, he's spinning now.
For the record, that's exactly something I would do for the
Oh, me too. Oh, look at the cap.
It is the Rob Brown Show here on the Fan Upstate. It is the great one, Lonzo. It is me, Rob Brown. It is we that are glad to have you here on the radio program. We are today, this AM, talking about the NFL. Why? Because the Hall of Fame game is Thursday. Ladies and gentlemen, as if it hasn't felt this way for a very, very long time, football season is here. Now, the great one and I have agreed that media days are kind of the kickoff of football season. Media days are when it feels football really starts, because when we get to media days, and this year was different than the rest, but when we get to media days, we talk about football. The last couple of years, specifically at the college football, well, not specifically, those are the media days. At the college football media days the last couple of years, the conversation has been about everything but football. The conversation has been about the transfer portal and NIL and the House settlement and all of these different things that kind of took away from the game of football. This year at SEC and ACC media days, it very much felt as if football had gotten back to being center stage, which was amazing, and I loved it. But now, the NFL preseason is upon us. It is time to start talking about preseason projections and prognostications. So, we have asked this AM for all of you NFL fans across the beautiful upstate of South Carolina to text us your ceiling and floor realistic expectations for your NFL team. What is the ceiling? What is the floor? What is the best that can happen? What is the worst that can happen? We have asked this because, to me, that's how you hold your football team accountable. That's how you make sure that your football team is being the best that it can be. Is it living up to the expectations or not? And you as fans, I think are as good as anybody at setting expectations for your team. So, with that being said, what are your ceiling and what are your floor expectations for your football team in 2025? Lonzo and I have done Carolina already. Lonzo said the ceiling feels like I should write these down. I will go back when I put my social media clips later together, because this will be one of them, record them then. But I believe you said 9 and 8 is the roof.
Yes.
And 6 and 11 is the ceiling.
Yes.
I agree with the floor, not the ceiling. 6 and 11 is the floor. I agree with that. I've got one additional win as the ceiling. I've got a 10 and 7 season as the ceiling. And I do think that 10 and 7 is likely good enough to win the NFC South again this year. Let's talk about some of the other teams in the NFL, though. And I would like to start with the Atlanta Falcons. Let's talk about the team right down the road in Atlanta, Georgia. I do think that they are the second most popular and followed team here in the beautiful upstate of South Carolina. I'll go first on this one, since I let Lonzo go first on Carolina, and we'll see what his reaction to my picks are. I think the ceiling for the Atlanta Falcons this year, I honestly think the ceiling is probably 12 wins. I think this team could be. I do think that if Atlanta has a perfect season, I do think they can be the best team in the NFC South. I'm not saying that they will get there. In fact, I really do think they're probably threatening 9 and 8, 10 and 2. I think that one of the question marks, and with the ceiling, obviously, we're working on the assumption that Michael Penix Jr., in having a year to sit, and obviously with some PT last year, as he did replace Kirk Cousins after it finally came to light that Kirk Cousins was indeed injured and dealing with an injury last year, although he wouldn't admit it. Michael Penix Jr. is a guy that I think has a potentially very good NFL career ahead of him. I will also point out that I think the Atlanta Falcons and by the way, real quick, you know what? I might as well throw this clip in here. I was going to save it for the audio blitz, but I think we might as well throw it in here. Here is Atlanta Falcons running back Bijan Robinson.
Properly give us the pronunciation of your name.
All right. How you pronounce my name is Bijan. For everybody that's out there, I know a lot of people say Bijan, but it's Bijan. It's Bijan.
So there you go.
Yeah, but in the South it's still Bijan, so it's okay.
If a dude says this is how you say my name, I'm going to follow that, even if I do have to
Some words are more difficult than others with a certain
Bajan?
With a certain kind of accent. It's Bajan.
Bajan. And so then when you make
I said the same thing you did.
When you make a sub, you put Dijon mustard on it?
Dijon. You want a little bit of spice.
So I think that the Atlanta Falcons are going to have probably one of the best 6 to 7 offense. For the record, I think there's a lot in common between Atlanta and Carolina. I think that Atlanta is going to have one of the better offensive lines in the NFL this year. So do I with the Carolina Panthers. Bijan Robinson is, to me, and I mean this, maybe one of the deadliest running backs in football because there's really nothing he can't do. He can run between the tackles. It's not a strong point, but he can run between the tackles. He is certainly capable of bouncing one to the outside and getting loose. And he might be the best active pass catching out of the backfield running back in the NFL right now. He's in that discussion for me. So there's a big question about Bijan Robinson and Michael Penix working together. There's obviously questions about Michael Penix Jr.'s ability to stay healthy. He's had, 2 ACL pops, I believe, in his career so far, surgically reconstructed each time. So will he be able to stay off the IR? Because once the Falcons end up getting deeper onto the depth chart, that is where they're going to find themselves starting to get into a little bit of trouble. I don't know that they have anybody on the depth chart unless Kirk Cousins sticks around. And I'll tell you right now, I think it is very possible down the line, based on what's happened this offseason and the drama around him. I got to think, if there's a team that loses a quarterback going into the regular season, Kirk Cousins gets traded. I honestly, if there's a team that feels that they've got a chance to be good this year, and if there's a team that ends up losing their quarterback and feels like if we had a quarterback that's just good enough, we'd be able to make something happen here, I think Kirk Cousins could be on the move. I think the well wishes are probably run out in Atlanta, Georgia. We'll find out. But after him, Easton Stick and Emory Jones are your next 2 quarterbacks on the roster. So for Atlanta, health is the number one concern at the quarterback position for Michael Penix Jr. And I do think that that is more than fair. I think that Bijan Robinson, we've mentioned him, absolutely deadly. I think on the flip side, the question mark is also going to be about the defense. I think the question mark is going to be, is this defense able to help the offense out in spots that they weren't last year? There are some dudes on this defense I am interested in. Ruka Horo is joining the defense this year to play the nose tackle spot. They're going to go with the 3-4. David Onyemata. I watched David Onyemata play quite a bit in New Orleans. He's okay. And he's not only okay, but he's okay, and he's 2 years deep in Atlanta. I think he's aging a little bit. I don't really love the edge rush. They got Morgan Fox opposite him on the defensive line. Not a dude that I necessarily trust. He had, I think, 3.5 sacks last year, 27 total tackles, 19 for loss, 3.5 sacks last year for Morgan Fox. It's not a great edge rush in a division that with Baker Mayfield, Bryce Young, and probably, though I could be wrong, Spencer Rattler, although we'll see what Kellen Moore decides to do in New Orleans. Spencer Rattler, who we know can boogie when he gets to the outside, is that enough to keep quarterbacks contained? I don't know. I don't know is the answer. Cross the linebacker spot. By the way, is there a better name in football? And I mean this. Is there a better name in football, Lonzo, than Divine Diablo? That might be my favorite name in football right now.
Depends on what you think about the devil, I guess.
Divine Diablo.
It's a cool name.
It's a great name.
As a football player or an anime character.
Yeah. Divine Diablo is 100% like a cartoon superhero name. I absolutely love it. AJ Terrell, you know what AJ Terrell is. Jesse Bates III, if he can stay healthy. D. Alford coming in when they need him in the nickelback spot. They've got some DBs in Atlanta. Problem is, DBs can only stay in coverage for so long if you're not getting pressure on the quarterback, and I just don't know how much, if any, they're going to be able to. And if that is the case, that could be a real problem in the NFC South because it is a division now of guys can move on the outside as quarterbacks. So I do think that it is fair to ask questions about their ability. We know the special teams. Young Ho Kim has been one of the better kickers in the NFL. Had some struggles last year, but can be that guy. Brad Pinion, decent punter. Like, not great, not terrible, kind of in the middle. Here's where I've landed on the Atlanta Falcons. I think the roof for the Atlanta Falcons is probably 12-5. I do think with that offense, I think they can be solid. I think they can be, honestly, I think Atlanta could be maybe a win 2 NFC playoff games. I don't think I'm really ready to put them up there with Detroit. I'm not really ready to put them up there with Philly. I'm not even ready to put them up there with the Washington Commanders yet, but I think they could be solid. They could be one of those teams that like maybe pulls a first round upset, maybe wins the division, maybe pulls a first round upset in the NFC playoffs. I do think they are at that level of football. The floor for the Atlanta Falcons this year, though, I fear is a little bit lower than you'd like. I feel like the floor for the Atlanta Falcons this year is probably 7-10. I think Carolina has gotten steps better. I think Tampa Bay, while I do think there's a step back for Tampa Bay, I don't think it's like a fall off the cliff step back. I think it's probably a step back to like 8 and 9 this year. Maybe 9 and 8, maybe 7 and 10, somewhere in that mix. But I think they're in that mix. I think all three of those teams are kind of jumbled up. But whether it is Penix ain't the guy or Penix gets hurt, or more importantly, defensively, if Bryce Young really is him, if Baker Mayfield under his third offensive coordinator in as many years, if they are just really good at picking offensive coordinators and guys that know how to call plays for Baker, if Baker's still that $100 million per year dude, I think there's enough boogie out of the QB spot in the NFC South that it could really cause problems for the Atlanta Falcons this year. So for the Falcons, the ceiling for me is 12-5 in a division championship. The floor for me is probably 7-10 and third in this division.
All right, so I don't think Atlanta's done anything to impress me the way they've done you. And all these teams are just so close. So I'm going to go, and this may sound lame, but I don't care. I'm doing it anyway. The ceiling is 9 wins. The floor is 6 wins. I'm going the same exact thing that I did for Carolina. I don't think there's a whole lot of a difference between the two teams. I think you could toss a coin and it would be about the same. I don't see it for Atlanta.
So my genuine question for you in this is, do you have a take, a vibe, a feel on Michael Penix? Is this a without Kirk Cousins you think they take a step back? Or?
No, I don't think it would matter either way.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think the team overall has improved enough to jump up above who is right now and has been however many games it takes for them to win it. They're not better than Tampa Bay.
I mean, it's fair. It's a fair take, and you're not the only one who has it, I don't think. All right. Let's talk a few more. If you've got a text, shoot it to me. What is the ceiling and the floor for your favorite NFL team? 844-326-3663, 844-FANFONE. Texter said, I do not think the Steelers are going to be great this year. Ceiling 12-5, floor and 7-8. I think Aaron Rodgers is washed. We're going to talk about him a little bit later on in the show because he had some commentary for Terry Bradshaw over the weekend I want to get to. Texter said, Bengals floor 9-8, ceiling 12-5. AFC champions. I don't think you have the defense for that, Bengals fan, but we'll talk about Cincinnati later in the show. Texas said, Rob, you forgot about Spencer. He had 0 weapons when he started those games as well. No, I didn't think about that. No Olave. Kamara was banged up. Offensive line was garbage. I actually agree. That's why I do think he deserves a chance. You know what else you all deserve? The absolute peak in sports talk entertainment, which is, inevitably and always, Lonzo Sports Flash.
I will not dispute it. The Atlanta Braves made a few roster moves yesterday. Grant Holmes was put on the 15-day injured list with an elbow injury. Atlanta filled the spot by trading for Cardinals righty Eric Fedde. You should see how Rob phonetically spelled that out for me. Thank you. For future, because there's no way I would have saw it and went Fedde. Consideration starters, Daysball Hernandez was recalled from Gwinnett as well. Bubba Wallace overcame a rain delay, 2 overtimes, and a late fuel scare to outpace defending winner Kyle Larson to become the first black driver to win a major race at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. The win is Wallace's third on the NASCAR Cup circuit and punches his ticket to the NASCAR Cup Series postseason. Angels outfielder Mike Trout sent a 2-run shot deep to center field in a 4-1 win over Seattle last night, recording a pair of runs that moved him past 1,000 career RBIs for his career. I'm just curious, in this heat, what do you have your thermostat set on at home, and is it able to reach it? Is your house able to eat because if your house eats, that's kind of weird.
Yeah.
Is your house able to reach where you have your thermostat set in this heat?
It fights for it. We were talking yesterday. Now, in fairness, our ceiling is not insulated, and we know that that's kind of hurting us a little bit. And our floor sits up. It sits up in the air, so the foundation's elevated. So there's a big air gap below our house too, which we need to get insulated. Which actually we started to, but I can't fit far enough under there to get the rest of it. So we know that's kind of hurting too. But no, so it's yeah. The answer is yes and no, because I set our thermostat at 72. If it's like it was yesterday, where it was just bleep you hot outside, I'll drop it down a little bit, or I'll just turn the fan on to stay on. Yesterday, when we got back from the movie, it was 74. The air conditioner was working to keep it at 74, even though set at 72.
Yeah, we have ours set at 68, and
Eskimos.
Not really. We're from Ohio, so I mean that doesn't,
That's pretty much Alaska.
Yeah, almost, and it's like 76 in there.
Yeah.
But even though we still have huge trees. Helene took some of them out, a bunch of them out, but we still have huge trees. But the sun sets in the summer, like right over the back of the house, and it's blazing. And I can't handle a fan. I just cough my head off under a fan.
Courtney does too. Courtney does too, but she also can't sleep without one on. So we have one on, but it's just on low. Which for me, like if I'm by myself when she goes out of town and stuff, I will have the fan on.
I probably should
takeoff mode,
or ask Lisa to when she leaves to just turn all the ceiling fans on.
Did she leave before you?
No.
Oh, okay.
She leaves last. Which means I guess I could turn them on before I leave. I don't think about it. But then I'll be coughing before I leave.
Yeah. Morning, Nettie Mac. Welcome in. Texture said fans 74, and it is able to reach it. Congrats on that. See, I'm
74. That's kind of
70. Like, I'm okay at 74. If it's much higher than 74, I can feel it. Last night, it was, when I woke up this morning, it was 75, and I woke up needing a shower. Like, if it's over 74, I will sweat in my sleep. Here we go. Another rousing hour of The Rob Brown Show is live on your radio. It is The Fan Upstate. Great to have you, Rob Brown, the great one, Lonzo, and you. Be a part of the radio broadcast. The phone line is open for you. The text line open for you. They're the same number, 844-FANFONE, 844-326-3663. I have asked you NFL fans, college football fans, you will get your turn. We got a few more days. I want to give you an opportunity to get through some some fall practice. I guess middle of the summer practices. You get it. It's hot as crap yesterday. Some middle of the summertime practices with most schools having their players show up and don the unis starting this week. We'll give you a couple of days to see what the rosters and the boys look like before we ask for your impressions early. But NFL fans, the preseason is pretty much upon us. NFL Hall of Fame game is Thursday night. The Lions and the Chargers will open up the preseason for us. And as I said back in hour one, don't call me, don't text me, don't beat me, don't fax me, don't email me, don't smoke signal me, don't carrier pigeon me, don't reach out. I don't want to talk to you unless you are wife, mom, brother, nephew, brother-in-law, or sister-in-law, or Lonzo. Don't reach out to me Thursday. And even if you do, please understand that if it's not about that football game, as my mother says, unless somebody's bleeding, I'm not responding. You text me about football? Cool. We'll talk about football. We'll talk about what's happening. We'll talk about things that aren't happening in football. But Thursday night, it's just a football mentality. All right? It's it. That's what I'm waiting for. This is going to be the longest 3 days in a very long time. I won't say ever, but in a very long time. Yes, for a preseason game. And I love preseason games. We've talked about this before. I love preseason games. I love preseason games because I do believe NFL preseason games are without doubt, most raw, passion-filled version of football. It's desperation from these guys that are out there on the field on Thursday. Regardless of how long we get our starters, we know it's not going to be for the majority of the game. So, no matter how long the starters are out there, when guys that already know that they are on the 53 get yanked and backups start going in. Those are dudes that are fighting for their careers, many of them. Those are dudes that are fighting for a job, and for many of them, fighting for a career. Because a lot of these cats, if they get cut, that's it for football. That's a wrap on football for them. And those cuts could come 2 days, 1 day, hours, minutes after the preseason games are over. NFL teams have their deadlines to get down to roster, and they try to get those well ahead of the deadline if they can, or at least be working towards knowing who's going at the deadline. These are dudes that maybe have never done anything else. Lonzo and I addressed it last week. We've both been in this game so damn long that if it got ripped from us tomorrow, if we got canned tomorrow, if we woke up tomorrow unable to speak, if Lonzo woke up tomorrow unable to read a sports flash and we got cooked, like, we'd be in a world of hurt because I don't know what else to do. I've been doing this, start a kickoff in a month and a half or whatever for the NFL or for college football. My very first broadcast was the start of college football season 18 years ago. I don't know what else I'm doing if it's not this. So, these are dudes fighting for a job. It is desperation mode. They are going to be 1,000% after it when they get out there. It's not going to be the best football that you watch. We know that because these dudes are not dudes who are likely or guaranteed to make a roster. And if that is indeed the case, then they got to leave it out there. They got to die out there. So we'll see what happens. But football's back. So with the NFL preseason firing up on Thursday, the other 30 teams in the league will all get their start coming up next week. I am asking NFL fans this AM, what are your realistic ceiling and floors for your NFL team? We have talked about the Carolina Panthers already this morning. The great one has set a ceiling of 9-8, a floor of 6-11. I've set a ceiling of 10-7 with a floor of 6-6. Both of us believe winning an NFC South divisional title is in play this morning. That's the same thing. You get it. We've done the Atlanta Falcons. I gave you my ceiling, which is I think this team's got on paper 12-5 in them. I really think they could be a dozen-win team. I also think they could be a team that goes 7-10 and misses and is praying in Week 18 for a wild card spot. Lonzo's kind of got about the same expectation as the Panthers, which I, by the way, think is very fair. I think it's fair. As I mentioned earlier, I think there's a lot of similarities between Atlanta and Carolina entering this year. A young quarterback with high expectations because of what happened last year. Obviously, different situations between BY, who started the year looking not great, took a back seat to Andy Dalton. Dalton got in the car accident and injured. BY got to go back to QB1, and he dominated down the stretch. For the final, I think 6 weeks of the season, Bryce Young was, statistically speaking, the most efficient quarterback in the National Football League. Would he go 10 tutties, no picks down the stretch? Like, down the stretch, BY was the most efficient quarterback in the NFL and statistically one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. Is it fair to say that the expectations are for him to continue that? The answer to me is yes. Hey, you're going into year 3. Like, it's time. You've got to be that guy now. And they've upgraded the weapons. They took the money they were paying to Miles Sanders, which didn't work out. They are giving it across the offensive line. The offensive line, I think, is going to end up being, I'm comfortable saying, one of the best 10 in football. Could be as good as one of the best 6 or 7 in football. Chuba Hubbard's been a dude. They added Tetairoa McMillan. Yes, we have not seen him in full pads in Charlotte yet, but dude has been making circus catches in shells and in jerseys so far. You've added a weapon to that. More importantly, and I've talked about this a few times, it is not just what Tet adds by giving you a true wide receiver 1 at the X. It is also that it takes the pressure off of Xavier Legette. He's not the only big target down the field now. You got 2 of them. It takes the pressure off of Adam Thielen, who, by the way, has been way more than respectable as wide receiver 1 when he's had to play in that role. But he gets to go back to the slot. He gets to go back to the guy that in many, I think, Canales offensive schemes, Thielen isn't going to be given a route to run so much as he's going to be given an area of the field to get to and then find the spot for BY. And I think that's what he is the best at. So I'm really excited about it. Defensively, they get Derek Brown back. They got to do something about the linebackers. They're in a tough spot with linebackers. But assuming the defensive backfield stays healthy around Horn, I think they're interesting there. So we've set Carolina's. We've set Atlanta's. I want yours for your team. 844-326-3663. Nettie Mack, Packers fan, says Green Bay, the ceiling is 12-5. The floor is 7-10. I actually think those are fair numbers too. I really do. We have NFL fans have heard all the discussions about Jordan Love. We have heard all the discussions. He's got it in him to make all of the throws. But I had a Packers reporter on because on Bet for the Cycle on Saturdays, we are going division by division, week by week. We started 8 weeks out, division by division, until we get to NFL Week 1. And the conversation that we started with when we got to the NFC North, which I think was last week, if you want to go back and find the podcast for, if nothing else, the divisional breakdowns with myself, Cody Decker. We have been having every week at least one beat writer or reporter on from that division to talk with us. When we talked about Green Bay, we had a guy on who covers the Packers in Green Bay in person. and we said, like, what are your non-fan, non-supporter of the team, what are your thoughts on Jordan Love this year for Green Bay? And his response was, half the time, Jordan Love is the dude that inside of the final 2 minutes is a freaking hero. And half the time, inside the final 2 minutes, he's the reason you lose the game. He said you never know inside those final couple of minutes when the game is on the line. You just never know if Jordan Love is going to be the guy who throws a touchdown that is going to have you popping off the couch, or if he's going to be the guy that throws an interception that makes you scream obscenities at the television like a drunken sailor. And I think that's a fair take. Now, Green Bay did finally go out there and do what the Packers fans have been begging them to do for years, and go get some help at the wide receiver spot. They went and they got Matthew Golden out of Texas. Matthew Golden is, I believe, not just going to be a very good NFL player. I think he's got the possibility of being like the guy in the air raid offense for Green Bay this year. They also have Jaden Reed and Romeo Doubs out there. Like, it's not a great wide receiver core, but it's good enough. They've got a very average offensive line, so it is going to be on Jordan Love. He does have Josh Jacobs, the running back behind him. He was the NFL's rushing leader a few seasons ago, but has kind of, I don't want to say lost the luster. He's been good for the Packers, but he hasn't been the guy that they thought that he was going to be when they brought him over from Oakland. Is it a breakout year? They've got former South Carolina Gamecock Marshawn Lloyd as his backup. I don't know. I don't know what he is going to be. So I think 12-5 is probably a good ceiling for the Packers. I really think this is probably a 9-8, 10-7 football team. I think in some other divisions, they might be more of a threat to be a 12-win team. In a couple of other divisions, I might be a little bit more comfortable with 12-5 as the ceiling that I am here. I'm not saying I'm uncomfortable with it. I just don't think it's reality. I think in some other divisions they get there. But I've said this once already this morning. I genuinely think the NFC North might be the best division in football this year because Detroit's Detroit. They didn't change anything. They didn't go to, I mean, they did change. They lost both of their coordinators. Their offensive and defensive coordinators are now the head coaches of the Chicago Bears and New York Jets, respectively. And so the question mark to some degree, specifically with the Detroit offense, and this is why I like Detroit because I like Dan Campbell. I like Detroit because I think they really have adopted that Detroit mentality, that like we're going to play violently all the time mentality. I think that's happened to a detriment. I think Detroit last year was banged up going into the playoffs primarily because they did not pull off the throttle in the regular season, which I want to get. You kind of have that Ring v. Rust mentality of if this team doesn't, like if it doesn't go full speed, because that's just what they do they lose a little bit of the steam that made them going into the playoffs? But if you don't pull off and you go 18 weeks when you don't need to, you're going to be tired. And you may have some banged up dudes going into the playoffs. And I think that's exactly what happened to the Lions last year. But I do think they are still a good team. I still think they are a threat to have the NFC's regular season number one seed. I do think that the Vikings, at the end of the day, like J.J. McCarthy is obviously the biggest question mark there. I was not a J.J. McCarthy believer coming into the draft, but I also wasn't a Drake May believer coming into the draft. And Drake May showed me up last year. I was not a Bo Nix believer going into the draft. Bo Nix showed me up last year. So if I'm wrong about J.J. McCarthy, that Vikings team could be exceptionally good. Like right there with Detroit. Good. But I also know that over the past 3 seasons now, between Kirk Cousins and Sam Darnold, Kevin O'Connell has taken two guys that are both good, but I don't think Sam Darnold or Kirk Cousins were necessarily in a threat to be mentioned in the elite category of NFL quarterbacks. He's taken both of those guys and gotten them $100 million paydays. Sam Darnold now with the Seahawks, Kirk Cousins with, for now, the Atlanta Falcons, though I would not be shocked to see him end up on another team before week 1. But he got them both paid. Big-time money, made him look great. I have said, I think that is more the Vikings. I think it is more the wide receiver unit. I think it is more Kevin O'Connell's offense than I think it was particularly Kirk Cousins or Sam Darnold. I think they're both fine quarterbacks, but I think that's it. I think they're both fine. I think that he made them look great. I think Minnesota's right back there in that mix. And if Kevin O'Connell said J.J. McCarthy's our guy, like he's good enough, he's our guy to make that move, cool. If he's right, that team could be very good. And then there's the Bears in Chicago, Illinois. I do not think that the Bears are in a single year going to suddenly be an NFC contender. But I do think that's a team that can go from being a perennial 5 or 6 win team to a team that could threaten 8, could maybe get to 9. Tough to do it in the NFC North when you've got 6 games spread out between Detroit, Minnesota, and Green Bay. Like, that's a tough 6-game slate to try to get to 9, but I think 8's very much a possibility here. Again, quarterback's the question mark. I think Caleb Williams has got all the tools in the bag to be a playoff caliber quarterback, to be a good playoff caliber quarterback. The problem is, as I have said, much like Bryce Young at Carolina, when I spent a long time screaming at you guys, you are looking at a franchise quarterback and you are putting all of the criticism on quarterback and none of the criticism on franchise. This is why I was not off the Bryce Young wagon. Because I said, I don't think you guys know how rotten this franchise is as it stands. The franchise in Charlotte has done a good job turning itself around. David Tepper has stepped back. Dan Morgan has been given the power to be the guy. They went and got Grant Tillis, who had a lot of success running football teams elsewhere, to come in and be the VP of football operations. And from what we have seen, Dave Tepper has been like, you guys run the team. Like, I'm just going to run the business. You guys run the team, and that's great. The Bears were that too. And I don't know that the Bears have fixed it, right? Because we still don't know how, if at all, but how involved the McCaskey family is going to be in running the day-to-day of this team. The McCaskies, very Tepper-like. They're involved. They're active. They're hands-on. And how many times do we have to see that that's a bad way for owners to operate? Does not work. Name me a hands-on NFL owner that's been successful, right? And I would make the point right now by asking the question. The Philadelphia Eagles won the Super Bowl this year. Who's their owner? You know their GM? Who's their owner? The Kansas City Chiefs have been a dynasty for 6 years running now. Who's the owner of the Kansas City Chiefs? I bet a lot of Chiefs fans don't know.
Yeah, I know that.
Yeah, you do. You're a diehard. But I'm going to guess, who's the owner of the Dallas Cowboys? You all know. Who's the owner of the Bears? You all know. Who's the owner of the Browns? You all know. Who's the owner of the Panthers? You all know. You see my point? Like, if you the more notorious the owner is, ordinarily, the less good the team is. So do they get involved? If they take a lesson from Dave Tepper the last 2 seasons and they get the hell out of the way and just let football dudes be football dudes, Ben Johnson was the most sought-after head coaching candidate in the NFL for how many years now? There's a reason for that. If he can cook, if Ryan Poles is... If it really is on the franchise and not the GM, which some Bears fans doubt, I think that team could be a 9-win team. I think it's the best division in football. And I think because of that, all 4 teams in that division are probably going to end up with a record that's probably less reflective of how good they really are. My question is it such a good division that the NFC North ends up with 3 teams in the playoffs? Like, could they eat up the wild card spots along with their champ? Or is it such a competitive division that the division champ goes and they all beat each other out of the wild card spots and they don't get one? I think either one of those is possible. All right. What is your realistic ceiling and floor expectation for your NFL team this year? Text it to me at 844-326-3663, 844-FANFONE. We'll read them on the air. When we come back here in just a minute, I got some sound bites to play for you, a delayed version of the audio blitz. We started last week with our swing games, our biggest individual games for the top 25 college football teams in America. We gave you Clemson and South Carolina. Let's take a look at some of their opponents that will impact their season. That's coming up as well. The Rob Brown Show rolls on. It is The Fan Upstate. Nailed that drop. Didn't do it on purpose, but nailed it.
Never, ever say you didn't do it on purpose unless
fair. Hey, it's me. Sweet. I was on a commercial, you guys. I made it. Be right back. All right, people. Let's get some sound in here. The audio blitz, a little bit of a delayed audio blitz. I was supposed to do it last segment, but what do you want? We're talking NFL football because there's NFL football this week, dudes and dudettes. Thursday night, Hall of Fame game. Yes, I'm going to mention it, I don't know, between here and there, probably about 1,000 more times. Why wouldn't I? It's the highlight of the week. There's nothing else happening this week. If it is your birthday on Thursday, I'm very sorry. It's the second most important thing happening. It's very important to me. Happy birthday early. Have a great night
Wouldn't
at
the
dinner.
birthday be like the third most important thing because of the...
It's also an MLB trade deadline.
Yeah.
That's fair.
I meant for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably very fair. All right, let me get a couple of sound bites in here. We've got a handful that I want to get to, but I want to take you to this one first. Pranks. Love a good prank. Now, I do want to point out to the youth.
Do you?
I do. I love a good prank.
Really,
What I don't
you
love.
really love a good prank.
I love a
Okay.
good prank.
That's good to know.
What I love is a good prank that does not involve actively harming people or their property. I do love a good prank that does not result in like someone trying to hit you in the face. Like I like a good,
I agree
good
with all
spirited
those.
prank.
I am curious though. Do you consider a jump scare a prank?
No.
Okay,
Because especially, well, let me rephrase that. No, when you definitely know that hypothetically your coworker that you hypothetically spend hours and hours with a week definitely puts jump scares in like his bottom 3 things about life. All right? Like bottom 3
I just,
things.
sometimes I need clarification.
It's like moving, broken bones, and jump scares. Those are the 3 things I hate most in life. Okay? I love a good prank. I would like to take you, ladies and gentlemen, up to Pennsylvania. This is a news story that I have to tell you when I heard it. And granted, it was on TV, so it came with some visuals. You don't need them. When it came on the social media the other day, I literally watched it, laughed out loud, and then watched it again.
Banco Beverage Company distributes beer, seltzers, and cocktails to 10 Pennsylvania counties. And their most popular clients? Birds fans.
Miller Lite is our flagship here, Miller Brewing Company. When we see Eagles and we can drive the Eagles all around town, we can't miss an opportunity like that.
Last week, the company got a brand new delivery truck and gifted it to Jarrett Weiss, who's driven for Banco for 20 years.
I was excited. I'm like, 20 years. I've never had a new truck before.
But Jarrett doesn't bleed green.
We took it and decided who could we give it to than Jared Weiss, who is a big Dallas fan. So now he gets to drive around with an Eagles billboard all day.
People are kind of giggling, and I found out why after a little while.
So my dude is a
Didn't know?
died. Well, so the impression I got from watching the story and the way it played out was that they built homeboy up. He's been driving for Banco Beverages for 20 years now. They built old boy up by telling him, hey, man, you're getting the next truck, new truck. It's all yours. And how exciting is that? We all love that occasional time when the boss comes in and goes, we got this new thing and it's yours. You get the new thing. It's a great feeling. It's a great vibe. So I believe they were telling my dude for a number of weeks, we got a new truck coming in, brand new. It's going to be wrapped. It's going to be a beaut, and it's all yours, big guy. And then that truck showed up, and they made the diehard Dallas Cowboys fan drive the Eagles truck. And by the way, I did see it because the truck's in the video. When I tell you it's Eagles branded, I don't mean like little sticker on the side. I mean the side of this truck is Kelly green with an Eagles helmet the size of me. It's like the whole side of the truck. And I don't remember the phrase. It says like fly with pride or fly Eagles flyer. It's got one of the Eagles phrases on it. And they handed it to the only Dallas Cowboy driver on the roster to make him drive it around. They showed the dude, and apparently he is like, he wears a Cowboys hat, and when he's driving the truck, he just puts it in the windshield so that at least that's out there. That is the absolute petty prank that I love about sports.
I wish we could, wrap the fan vehicle in Eagles stuff and have Cole Bryson drive it.
I think
that would be awesome.
I think the equivalent of it, great one, would be if we wrapped a station vehicle in purple and orange tiger prints, and you had to be our driver to remotes. Like that would be the equivalent there.
Listen, I've lost bets before. I've had to have my vehicle covered in that, so it's nothing new. There was a magnet company that we were sponsoring on my sports show on WORD, or was sponsoring us, and it was college football magnets, all that kind of stuff. So whenever I lost a bet, I had to have Clemson stuff on my car, and my daughter wouldn't get in the car when I went to pick her up from school. She's like, I'm not riding in that.
That's
which
the
was
type of petty I live for.
Yeah.
That's the type of petty I live
and
for.
rolling up to the stop sign to get to the stoplight to get on Woodruff Road, covered in Clemson stuff, and Gamecock fans is pulling up beside you and looking at you, and I'm just like, yeah, but I'm not. There's nothing you can do about it. It's all over there, and you lost a bet.
Yeah, I mean, you just got to own it.
So that wouldn't bother me as much as you think. But Cole, that would bother him a great deal.
Just to show you I understand, Cody Decker and I this past weekend lost our Parlay v Parlay challenge. We told you about this. This is the one where, like, you lose, you take a punishment. We've had to wax body parts live on the air. We've had to eat a bunch of gross stuff, whatever. Both teams lost, and it's been a while since we had a winner. So if we go 5 weeks without a winner, everybody has to take a punishment. We decided to reach back into the archives and go with an old school punishment. We're going an old school jersey swap. So, like, you have to wear the gear of your rival, which means that not this Saturday, but next Saturday, I will have to do the entire show wearing Atlanta Falcons gear. I'm not happy. I'm genuinely not happy.
See, I know you've talked about how you don't like Atlanta. I don't believe the hatred is as bad as it is for me with Clemson, for other people with schools they don't like. I just don't think it's I don't believe your hatred is on the level of my hatred.
I can tell you with great sincerity, I despise the Atlanta Falcons. They are, across all sports and every team, they are rival number one for me. Across every sport, every team, they are rival number one. All right, let me get a little more audio in here. Let me take you out to the Oakland A's. Oh, sorry, not Oakland A's. Their broadcaster for the night, Chris Carey. Chris Carey was stepping in. He's not the primary broadcaster. Their numero uno broadcaster had the night off.
Is he related to Skip Carey?
I don't know if he is a Harry Carey kid or not. I don't know is the answer. I think so, but I don't know. I think it is, because I know Harry's kids are like AAA broadcasters working their way up. So Chris Carey got the call to go broadcast an A's game. Now, if you're an A's guy, or excuse me, if you're a play-by-play guy who's calling a baseball game, you long for what? You long for a dong. You long for a dinger. You long for a moonshot. You long for a blast. Okay? By the way, I don't think I've ever said the phrase "you long for a dong" on the radio before, and it's in context, so I can't get in trouble because it makes sense. You know I'm talking about a home run.
Yeah, I just it made me very uncomfortable.
That's all right. I liked it. That might that might become a thing that gets used sometimes. Anyway, if you get called up to the bigs with an opportunity to call an MLB game, especially if you have got the pedigree of a Carey kid, and you know that this is going to be an opportunity for you to prove that you deserve an opportunity in the driver's seat one day, you really hope to nail it. You really hope to nail it. That's why it's not great that this happened.
1-2 pitch. High in the air, deep to right. That ball is foul. Gone.
That ball was absolutely launched. Law Dog posing him up at the dish. He knew it off the bat. It was just a matter of how far. He knew he got it.
That is the color guy doing his best to save a play-by-play guy who I think in real time recognized, well, back to AAA for me, because it's one thing if you miscall a homer that like skirts the foul line, plays with the foul pole, like and because you sit right behind the dish, so if it goes down the right or left field line, specifically the right field line, like you kind of got to track it, and if it's up over the foul pole, that can be tough to do. Lonzo, this ball was to almost dead center field. Like, I don't know what the guy was watching.
So what you're saying?
Straightaway center.
Next season he'll be an umpire.
That right there is why baseball is getting VAR, or sorry, ABS, whatever one you want to call it. That ball was to right center straight away. Like, it wasn't like it was well up over the foul pole and he was making a guess. I don't know what he was watching. And the poor color guy, because play-by-play guy, Chris Carey, just goes silent. He's like, I'm not coming back from that. That's it. Mistake made. Grave dug. And the poor color guy's like, he knew it. Chris, I mean, what a moonshot, right? He knew it. That's the job right there. That's rough.
Well, anytime I make a mistake, you and I make a joke out of it. You don't make mistakes. So
Correct.
So I don't have to worry about, it going the other way.
All of that correct, but I'm going to tell you right now, if I make a mistake as egregious as watching a ball leave the yard in center field and going, foul ball, right? Like, that's a little different. That's a little different. Back after this on the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate.
You guys heard me try to take the fall there, and Rob just wouldn't let me do it. So
I never do.
Yeah, I mean,
no fun on that.
that would be kind of hard to say. Tight end Tommy Trumbull, but I think he said Trumbull, but it's an accent thing. Maybe he is saying Trimble. So. I was hoping he said Cleveland, because that would have been awesome.
The DeLand. Did I read correctly that every Braves opening day starting pitcher is on the IL? Close. Bryce Elder, I believe, was on the opening day roster, and I believe is the last one. Now, 4 of the opening day 5 are on the IR. Like, it's not good. So if you hadn't written off the season already, might as well now.
Okay, that's creepy if that's real. Nissan created chairs that automatically return to their original positions with a simple clap.
Like in their cars.
No. This is for office chairs.
For the record? Cool. I'm for it.
I just sent you the video. I'm not. It's from Historic Vids, so it's got to be true.
I follow that account, and there have been some things on that account that I found super interesting, and there have been some things on that account that I'm like,
well, speaking of pranks, look at the video when you get a chance. This is something to creep you out and not want to go back to work again. If you just didn't see someone clap and you walk in and watch all the chairs move back around the conference table, like, no, I am out of here. There's no one here smart enough to rig all that to happen. I'm
saw
gone.
One of my favorite actuallys over the weekend. So I follow a subreddit, which is just it's the new age kids version of a message board / chat room. So I follow a subreddit all about paranormal activity. And it's interesting to me because it's a good faith effort. The reason I like it is it's a good faith effort. People come there with videos or pictures of stuff that they think might be paranormal, and they put it up, for analysis by other people to like break down the video and be like, it's this or it's that, or we don't know, whatever. So there was one, and it was this lady put up a picture of put up a short video from her Ring cam in her living room. She had a wall like a bookshelf with like 4 or 5 dolls on the back of it. And there was one right in the middle of it, and the doll started turning back and forth like this, and there was like a light that came out from behind it. So it was kind of doing this. And she's like, this thing's never moved, never seen this before. And within a couple hours, this guy goes, do you have a cat? And the lady's like, yeah, why? And he goes, because the light, there was a light blinking pattern to it. He goes, the light behind that was familiar to me. It turns out I have a cat. The cat has the same toy. It's a toy that is a little like I guess like a ball that's got it's like a D20 dice where it's like round, but it's got edges so you can
kind of has a tail on it.
It does not, but
okay.
it's about that big around, and it's kind of shaped like a D20. So that, like, you throw a D20, but eventually it's going to stop on a flat side. It's like that. So if a cat hits it, it'll roll, but it'll eventually stop. He said, it's weird. I recognize that pattern. He said, does your cat have this toy? And he put up a picture, and she's like, yeah. And he goes, go look behind the doll. I guarantee you it's up there. And he found it. So basically what it was for whatever reason, this toy activated, and it was stuck between the doll and the wall. So it was vibrating and trying to move itself. But what it did was caught the doll and started moving the doll back and forth. And I'm like, that's why I love the internet. That is such a random thing for a guy to spot, analyze, and be able to say, nope, it's not a ghost lady. Your cat brought his toy up there.
Yeah, I've had some creepy doll problems. So the doll thing, like a doll just speaking in the middle of the night, hello, Daddy. It's like, no, because you have what, and we took the batteries out of it, and it still did it. And I know it's probably residual electricity stuck in it or something, but just randomly, and the things that I was listen, you got to take that thing out of the room.
Out of the state.
Yeah. Well, Cameron had a Buzz Lightyear that did the same. I buried that thing out in the yard. It's like, yeah, I know. And again, I know there's the explanation. It probably has something to do with electricity, but when it's in the middle of the night and that happens, that's not good.
We have a Roomba, and Courtney has it set to where it vacuums the floor at like 3 a.m. when we're both out because it's not super loud, and we sleep in the back of the house. She has it set to do the living room every night. Well, if it gets trapped, the Roomba will say, please help dislodge or something like that. I don't know if she did it on purpose or was accident, but she turned the volume on it. So the other night, like 2 weeks ago, like 3 o'clock in the morning, there was a voice from the other side of my house going, I'm stuck, please. And I was like, no, I don't believe ghosts are real. No. The Rob Brown Show is back on your radio. It is the Fan Upstate. Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen. Spectacular to have you. I am Rob Brown, the great one. Lonzo is on the ones and the twos this morning. If you would like to be a part of the radio program, now is a spectacular time to do just that. 844-326-3663, 844-FANFONE. Would love for you to get in touch with the program, primarily this AM, because I have asked you, NFL fans, what is your ceiling and floor for the 2025 edition of your favorite NFL team, whomstever that may be? We have gotten a couple of Cincinnati Bengals fans who have jumped into the mix so far this morning. Both of them with, coincidentally, the exact same ceiling and exact same floor. A floor of 9-8, a ceiling of 25. As much as I very much do love Joe Burrow, as much as I think that Joe Burrow's politicking this offseason to keep what might be the best wide receiver tandem in the NFL together in T. Higgins and Jamar Chase for one more run, as much as I very much like the offense that has been built, you have one big problem, Bengals fans, and is that you can go score 48 a game, but if you give up 50, you're losing them games. That's all it comes down to. But I think right now, in the situation you're in with Trey Hendrickson, you did get Shamar Stewart signed on Friday, and that's good news. But again, this is a rookie defensive end, and a rookie defensive end who last year for A&M in his big money payday game is a rookie who had, I believe, 2.5, 3 sacks last year all season long. Like, that's tough numbers. Now, as we pointed out, there were a couple of very good edge rushers in this NFL draft, but edge rusher was also a class that had probably the highest ceiling of any position, but also the lowest number of guys at that ceiling. Like, there were like 1 or 2, and then there was a big step down to the next group of edge rushers. Shamar Stewart was in group number 2. I'm not saying the kid won't be good. He is young. He will need some polish. But obviously with Trey Hendrickson, Adam Schefter was on ESPN over the weekend, and he claimed that he had a conversation with Trey Hendrickson. And Hendrickson said, basically, I've been giving this team 17.5 sacks the last 2 years. I am not coming back on a 1-year guaranteed contract. If I come back and something happens to me and I get that money and then I'm done, like that's it for me. I want a contract extension. And that's not unheard of for a guy that has put up numbers the way that former New Orleans Saint and most recent guy that my team cut who went on to become a great player, Trey Hendrickson, is worth. I mean, that's an extension guy with 1 year left on the contract. So the issues I have with your Bengals team, my 2 texters who have given me thoughts on Cincinnati so far, has nothing to do with Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins. I do have a concern for them. And my concern for them is this. I think they may just be dog tired halfway through the season. Because if your defense can't get off the field or can't create situations in which teams are forced to grind out offensive possessions against them, which I just don't know that you're going to be able to do this year. If teams are just running up and down the field scoring points, it means you will have to be running up and down the field scoring points. And while your offense is certainly equipped, athletic, and good enough to do that, are you equipped, athletic, good enough to do that for 18 weeks? Because I think you might have to. I genuinely think you might have to. And I think that could end up being somewhat problematic for you. I don't think that's it. All right, we got a Steelers take earlier as well. We had a Steelers fan that texted the show, by the way, 844-326-3663. That's the Hub City Spartanburger text line. Shoot your team ceiling and floor. We'll talk about it. We'll address it here on the show. The Steelers fan said that they believe that the Steelers are probably looking at a ceiling of 12-5 and a floor of 7-10. I'm going to keep it a buck. And this is not just because of Aaron Rodgers. I do think he's a part of it. Not that he's bad, but I don't think Aaron Rodgers at this age, as a quarterback because I had this conversation with Cody Decker on Saturday. I got to imagine Aaron Rodgers, as he did last year with the Jets, is going to be very big on protecting himself. I think he's going to be very big on protecting himself, not taking the additional hits, not taking the stupid hits to protect his ability to finish the season. And I would encourage him to. I would tell Aaron Rodgers, my guy, like, don't get out there with a bunch of 24-year-old defensive ends and try to power through that contact. You're not 20 anymore.
My guy.
Buddy, don't get out there and do that. My issues with Aaron Rodgers, the dude, they stop at the door of talking about football. Same with everybody on every football field. When we talk about football, I'm talking about you, the football player, not you, the dude, no matter who you are. Talking about Rodgers, I just think on the wrong side of 40, and having taken the injuries he's taken, I got to assume he protects himself this year. The problem is what's made Aaron Rodgers special over the years is the style of play where he's not really protecting himself, where he's playing loose and he's playing outside the pocket and he's playing as a threat with the legs. And I can't think you're going to get that. Now, maybe he's been playing that way for so long that even with the injuries and the age, he just goes for it. But then my question is, do you believe he can finish a full season unscathed? I don't know. So, putting all of that into context, I look at the Steelers, and this was the question, and I will ask you Steelers fans that got involved. Do you believe that this team got better this offseason? Because I don't. I don't think they got better this year. I think that, honestly, what Russell Wilson was doing for this team at the end of the year last year is pretty similar to what you can expect out of Aaron Rodgers. He's playing pretty good football.
Right. I don't remember this. I really don't. And was DK Metcalf there last year?
DK Metcalf was not there last year.
Because I didn't think that he was there last year.
He was not there.
You don't think that guy can make a difference?
I think he can make a difference. But they lost George Pickens. I don't think he replaces George Pickens. I think George Pickens is your top off the defense threat that makes this team go. Now, DK Metcalf is still stupid fast. Like, he's still and DK Metcalf is built like a damn transformer. Like, he is just big, 6'4", 229. He's absolutely yoked. If you've ever seen DK Metcalf with his shirt off, the man is sculpted out of granite. Like, he's unbelievable. He's ridiculous. I don't think he's better than George Pickens. You had George Pickens last year. You didn't have DK. Now you have DK. You don't have George Pickens. The wide receiver core is fine, but it didn't get better. You're going Calvin Austin III and Robert Woods. Robert Woods played in New Orleans like 15 years ago, it feels like.
Was he any good when he was in
for the record, it hasn't been 15 years, but he is 33 years old, so it wasn't far from that. No. He's your third guy.
What about the tight end spot?
You were looking at the tight end spot at Pat Freiermuth, who I think is good. Like, I think he could be good. But do I want to say that a team whose passing offense is hinged on, and again, I love DK Metcalf. He has been a dude I have given accolades to for years now. And he's not an old guy. He's only 27, right? Is a passing offense with a quarterback who is, I'm not saying bad, but we all know Aaron Rodgers is past his prime. Anybody playing football at 41 years old is. Tom Brady was past his prime at 41, still very good. I'm not saying Rodgers can't be very good. But as a 41-year-old quarterback throwing to DK Metcalf and who else at wide receiver, whose best option in the short game passing is a 26-year-old Pat Freiermuth. Like, is that a team we trust? By the way,
I think it's Freiermuth, by the way.
Say it how you want to say it. Former West Virginia kid.
Who I believe is pretty good as a tight end.
Is pretty good.
That's the reason why I brought that up.
So
if you consider him a pretty good tight end and you've got DK Metcalf, then you've got two pretty good receivers. And how's the running game going to be? I don't know, because historically Pittsburgh has been a running team. Is a running game going to be any good?
I've had that conversation before. People are shocked because that's the narrative. They're not really. They've been under Mike Tomlin. They've been a pretty balanced team. Now you got to keep in mind a lot of that was with Big Ben, who they love to throw loose and throw the ball.
I'm also really old, so historically for me, if
we're going back to the Bradshaw days, sure.
Yeah.
But over the past 10 years or so, they've been a pretty balanced team. This is a cat, Jaylen Warren, getting the start at running back, who last year had 120 carries, 511 yards, 1 touchdown. No, like I'm not leaning on the run game. Caleb Johnson too. Kenneth Gainwell III, guy was with the Eagles for a couple of years, like a good little scat back, but not a guy I trust. And Trey Sermon is fourth on the RB chart, probably going to end up being your practice squad guy, the former Buckeye. You've got a decent offensive line. You're going to be relying on your defense. TJ Watt gets his extension. Cam Hayward on the right side. You've got Patrick Queen, former LSU Tiger, who I very much love. Darius Slay back at the cornerback. But again, and for the record, you added Jalen Ramsey, which is a big pickup. Jalen Ramsey is one of the best DBs in the league. But to go get Jalen Ramsey, you sent Minkah Fitzpatrick down to Miami. Fitzpatrick has, over the last 2 years, kind of been the heart and soul of this defense. I thought Fitzpatrick was kind of going to go back to being that guy that the defensive backfield, like, that's the crown jewel. And I agree, Jalen Ramsey is a step up in individual talent between him and Fitzpatrick. But my question mark for Jalen Ramsey is, what's going to happen if it does start getting a little squirrely? We all know Jalen Ramsey's a bit of a hothead. That's why he's on team number, 5? Like, he's a bit of a hothead. You got run out of Sean McVay's squad. Sean McVay's like as loosey-goosey of a dude as it gets. You got run out of L.A. Now Miami was like, no, we've had enough of that. We're trying to rebuild. You're a young talent, but we're trying to move on. Is that an upgrade for the Steelers defense? In an individual spot, absolutely. But for the team, I think that's maybe subtraction by addition when it's all said and done. Because Jalen Ramsey will blow up if it doesn't go perfect out of the gate. I think the Steelers are a step-back team this year, and they don't have a lot of room to step back. Is Mike Tomlin only there because of the never had a losing season record? I don't know the answer to that.
Well, that franchise historically does not fire coaches. They've had, 4?
Yeah, also true.
Yeah, so, I mean,
I don't know the answer. At some point, you have to. Texter said Chris Carey is Chip Carey's son and 25 years old, one of them young whippersnappers. No excuse. He has good eyesight. Says he lost it in the lights, but I think just not paying attention, it seems to me. Damn Gen Z. Maybe. I'm just saying, if the ball's a straightaway center, you can't call a foul. Even if you lost it, just say, waiting for it, where's it going to land? Like, say literally anything else. That's a bad shot, man. Bad shot. I hope he gets it right. I hope he goes back to AAA, get some more reps in. We'll see what happens. Ladies and gentlemen, I want you to sit back. I want you to relax. I want you to unwind, and I want you to enjoy the soothing and dulcet tones of Lonzo Sports Flash.
I just learned millennials can't see. I was not aware of that. Now I know. The Atlanta Braves were swept by the Texas Rangers in a 3-game set, dropping the finale yesterday 8-1. Bryce Elder took his 7th loss of the year, giving up 6 hits and all 8 runs in just 2.2 innings of work. Offensively, Atlanta had just 4 hits and had just 5 at-bats with runners in scoring position. Bubba Wallace overcame a rain delay, 2 overtimes, and a late fuel scare to outpace defending winner Kyle Larson to become the first black driver to win a major race at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. The win is Wallace's 3rd on the NASCAR Cup circuit and punches his ticket to the NASCAR Cup Series postseason. Angels outfielder Mike Trout sent a 2-run shot deep in center field in a 4-1 win over Seattle last night, recording a pair of runs that moved him past 1,000 career RBIs for his career. Trout sits behind Darryl Strawberry, Cecil Fielder, and Ron Gant on the all-time list and is a dozen behind Wade Boggs. Killing it, then it hit Cecil and called him Cecil. Will Rob make it back in time for the 9 o'clock hour? We shall see.
We'll see, James. You might be. Listen, I think DK Metcalf's going to be a stud this year. Ain't no doubt. He's a stud every year.
He's also Aaron Rodgers' roommate.
He is. Is he really? I can't.
Yes.
Which is good. I'd do the same thing. What I have pointed out a couple of times is he is a beast. There is no doubt about it. But also in Seattle historically was very good about finding guys like Tyler Lockett that are attention grabbers. Like they're not going to be huge. They can play, but they can pull the attention away from DK. Who's that guy in Pittsburgh? They don't really have him. Now, I'll say this. If they had found a way to keep George Pickens happy, Pickens and DK Metcalf would be up there with Higgins and Chase for like a best wide receiver tandem in the league for me. But DK, without really any other big-time threat opposite him, kind of scares me a little bit.
People can step up, though. Happens a lot. A player you don't expect to be the next guy is the next guy.
Yeah, baby. The Rob Brown Show back on your radio. It is the Fan Upstate. Rob Brown, the great one, Lonzo, and you. 844-326-3663. 844-FANFONE. That is the number to be a part of the radio program this AM. Should you elect to do so, we would love to have you. I probably won't spend a full segment on this. There's a couple of other things that I would like to get to, but for now, word.
All right, unfortunate news out of Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay Buccaneer rookie edge rusher David Walker has torn his ACL and will miss the entire season. Shefty just tweeted this out like a couple minutes ago.
Don't like that. Don't like that. That sucks. And to be this close to the start of the season and have that happen. Yowza. That stinks.
You think it's harder to have that happen for a rookie or for a seasoned veteran? I mean, it hurts no matter what, but I mean, when you're a rookie and this is your first time in the NFL and you get hurt, as opposed to like when Aaron Rodgers did it or some other guys did it. And
yeah.
That's
a tough spot. And probably a tough answer. It probably just depends on like where you are in your career as one or the other. But I do just in general hate it for a dude this close to the start of the season. I think that's the part that.
And unfortunately, and it goes with any sport. We're going to get more of these before the season. In the next couple of weeks during practice.
Dallas Cowboys guard Rob Jones, who was expected to be a frontline starter for them this year. The Cowboys found out earlier this morning that he has broken a bone in his neck and will be forced to miss 2 to 3 months. So, and that's part of camp. Like, it's going to happen. It's football. It's a violent sport. You're going to have some guys that get a little roughed up. Some guys that get a little bit banged up. That's kind of unfortunately part of the territory. So we will keep you up to date with changes, updates, injuries, yada, 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 as we work through NFL preseason with the Hall of Fame game coming up on Thursday evening. Let's get back to college football here for just a minute. Two real big stories. Well, one real big story and one kind of I'm a player empowerment guy. I'm a power to the people kind of guy. And that also, to me, comes along with some level of necessity to hold players accountable when they do or say something dumb and or bad, I think are the two adjectives I'm going to use here. UCLA had a media day the other day. We all know the UCLA Bruins are the home of former University of Tennessee quarterback Nico Iamaleava. We also remember a number of months ago when Nico Iamaleava was such a talking point for just a minute that we all learned how to pronounce Iamaleava together. Because Nico Iamaleava was expected to be the starting quarterback for the Volunteers of Tennessee. Nico Iamaleava apparently asked for a whole lot of money that Tennessee was unwilling, unprepared to give to him. He tried to hold the school hostage for that money. And then one day, out of left field, Josh Heupel, the head coach of Tennessee, just put out a statement very randomly that said, yeah, he ain't with us no more. He's out. He's gone. He's not welcome on the football field or at this school anymore. Nico Iamaleava would end up hitting the transfer portal, heading to UCLA. And making less money than he was going to make just by staying at Tennessee this year, but whatever. Any hoodles. Nico Iamaleava was out at UCLA doing a bit of a media day, and Danny Kanell was there broadcasting for CBS Sports. They did a little interview together, and I want you to listen to this adorable little bite from Danny Kanell and Nico Iamaleava.
I got to ask, I haven't heard much about you this offseason. Anything interesting happen?
Yeah, man. I officially came back home and found me a place at UCLA, and yeah, man, I'm excited at what we got going on.
What was that process like for you? I mean, it was crazy. We cover the sport for a living. We haven't seen a story like that, since we've been covering it. What was it like for you personally? Because people had their theories. You're taking a lot of criticism. What was that like for you?
Yeah, me personally, man, it was me just wanting to get back home to my family. And Coach Fox gave me the opportunity to do that, and, I couldn't pass up on that. So I'm happy where I'm at, and, I'm excited, to go to work with the boys.
A great man once said many, many moons ago, I don't believe you. That would be, of course, Ron Burgundy from Anchorman. I don't believe you. I don't really have like any earth-shattering take here other than why you lying, dog? Like, we all know what happened. It wasn't like this was uncut. You even laughed when Kanell said, I didn't hear a lot about you this offseason. Anything interesting happened. You laughed because you know that you were, for a hot minute, you were the biggest story in college football. You were the first dude, to some degree, certainly the way that and the level that you did it, you were the first dude that kind of used NIL and rev share to some degree, hold your team hostage, right? Like, you tried to hold the Volunteers hostage, and it was Tennessee that pretty much showed you the bricks, pretty much told you, all right, buddy, like, no, head on out. We'll see you on down on the other side. You were pretty much the first guy in college football to do that thing that guys like Diesel and Cole have been complaining about was going to inevitably happen for a long time. Oh, you're with NIL and rev share, you're eventually going to see players start to hold their programs hostage for money. And my response to that has always been, A, that's their right to do it, with the understanding that if they ask for too much, those programs also hold the right to say, yeah, we're not going to do that. And if you won't play for what's on the table, we'll find somebody who will, which is what Tennessee did. And that, to me, was kind of a pushback point on guys like Cole and Diesel. Was, look, colleges and universities have the power too, right? They have some power here as well. They can just tell the players, no, we're not giving you that. Here's what we're willing to come off of in the rev share. We will help you find NIL deals that can kind of pad the account a little bit, but you don't have to let a kid stay if he's demanding anything out of you. It's a two-way street. The only issue I have with all of this is Nico Iamaleava trying to get up there with Danny Kanell on the microphone and like make him out to be this good old kind-hearted fella that wants to play football closer to home. He's a California kid. He just wants to get back to what are they? Aren't they also the Sunshine State? I don't know.
I thought that was Florida.
No, I think there's two of them. I think California's the Sunshine
Can't
State.
he be all of that? Can't he be all the things that you're saying he is, and also be the guy that wants to go back home?
Yes, 100%. But to dress it up as that, they're the Golden State, not the Sunshine State. That makes sense. They have the Gold Rush and all that, so it checks out. All right, I feel
and
smart.
this Golden State Warriors.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but I knew they were. Yeah, okay, that makes sense. I'm dumb. Yes, he can be that. I do believe that the reason that he is at UCLA is because that's where he's from. That's close to where his family is, and that's all well and good. But I guess, like, trying to play it off like he was kind of, I just wanted to be home. No, you didn't. You and your dad held up Tennessee for a buttload of money, and they said no. And they didn't just say no. They said hell no. They didn't just say hell no. They said hell no, and you can get up on out of Dodge. I don't know if that's how people in Knoxville talk, but I do know they say Knoxville, so I'm going to assume it's pretty close. Respectfully.
My interactions with Tennessee people, I think that was the most accurate you've ever been on a depiction of a region.
For the record, I would also like to point out that I have a number of Tennessee fans in my life, and Neyland Stadium is next up on the Rob Brown SEC Stadiums tour. I've got to get to Neyland. I've considered there are a few schools that are on the docket for this year.
I wouldn't wear that shirt, though, if you go there. I'm just saying.
No, I'll wear a bunch of camo. Obviously, it's Knoxville. Any place with Ville at the end that makes you say it Ville? Louisville, Knoxville, Starkville,
Greenville.
I say Greenville for the record. Greenville, South Carolina. It's real fun to do it at soccer matches. Let's go Greenville Triumph. All right. Anyway, blah blah blah. It's not even a big deal. It's not anything that even matters. There was something about me. And by the way, this isn't the first time that Nico Iamaleava has said something like this. I guess what I would say is Nico Iamaleava, whether he elects to or not, whether he wants to or not, Nico Iamaleava is I think, cautionary tale to college football players moving forward. He is a cautionary tale to quarterbacks specifically, but really to college football players in general moving forward, that you have every right under the way that college football is currently constructed, governed, etc. You have every right to say, I want this much money. This is what I want, whether it's rev share, whether it's I need you to help me to get to this total in NIL, whatever your process is, you have every right to say, this is what I want. Give me what I want. You have every right to do that. And the schools have every right to say no. And the schools have every right to say not only no, but no. And that's so offensive that we don't want you on our football team this year. Right? Nico Iamaleava, had he stayed at Tennessee, had he been in the SEC this year, remember 2 weeks ago when we were at SEC Media Days? Remember 2 weeks ago when I said I think the narrative of this conference is that there are a fistful of quarterbacks whose ceiling is Heisman and whose floor is one of the biggest disappointments of the position in the history of this school. And they're going to scatter out in between. Doesn't matter what school you look like that will be look at that will be competing for the SEC title this year. The question marks were, how good's that quarterback going to be? How far can he carry them by being the most important football player on the team? Had Tennessee kept Nico Iamaleava, I fully believe Nico Iamaleava would have been in that discussion. Had Tennessee kept that guy on the roster, I fully believe that my list of teams that I believe, if they get great quarterback play, can compete in the Southeastern Conference would absolutely have included Nico Iamaleava and the Tennessee Volunteers. But he wanted Arch Manning money. He wanted Carson Beck money. He wanted money that was on par with guys who have had success or are the most heralded next guy up, maybe in the history of the school. He wanted that, and he was neither of those things. I think Nico Iamaleava would have probably been slotted in my SEC quarterback power rankings. I think he probably would have been slotted in 7th, 6th, 7th, somewhere in the middle of the pack. Maybe right around middle, maybe slightly above middle of the pack. And that would have been a great spot and a great opportunity. But he wanted Lenore Sellers money. He wanted DJ Lagway money. He wanted Carson Beck money. He wanted Arch Manning money. And Tennessee just said no. We got other dudes that we've got a rev share with We've got other dudes that we gotta help with NIL. There's only so much to go around. You ain't earned that yet, and since you're putting us in this spot, you got to go. So I think the reason that I kind of almost to some degree take offense in Nico Iamaleava just outright pretending the only reason he's back in California is because he's just a good old mama's boy and wants to play back closer to the crib, which don't get me wrong, that is probably the reason he's at UCLA, because I'm sure there were a lot of schools that were willing to say, we can't pay you what Tennessee's going to pay you, but we will put you on the roster. We will help you get NIL, whatever it's going to be. I think the reason I'm so bothered by that is because I think it, to some degree, and I also understand why Nico Iamaleava would do this. Like, I want to make the image as good as I can. He's got NFL aspirations. I get it. You don't want that following you around, even though you aren't getting away from it. I think the issue I took with it wasn't that he, in my opinion, just kind of straight up lied, just kind of walked over the real reason, which is Dad and I wanted a lot of money from Tennessee and they told us get lost, scram. I think the problem I took with it is that Nico Iamaleava can and should. It is not an obligation or responsibility for him to, but I think that Nico Iamaleava should serve as a wonderful cautionary tale to college football players everywhere, as a wonderful cautionary tale of what can happen if you, as the expression goes, get out on top of your skis a little too much. If you lean into what you think you're going to be. There's a lot of people who believe that athletes should be paid on what they've accomplished. And there's a lot of people who believe that athletes should be paid on what their potential is. If we're keeping it a buck, Arch Manning's getting paid a lot of money on potential. Lenore Seller's getting paid a lot of money based on performance. Nico didn't really have either. And yet he went in there demanding money like he did. There wasn't anything on tape that you went, that guy's going to compete with Lenoris and Lagway to be top of the SEC. Not saying that he couldn't, just we hadn't seen anything that made you think he would. And you didn't win anything when you were the starter. Like, you didn't win anything. So he's a cautionary tale. If we have, listening across the upstate of South Carolina, any 5-star quarterbacks, 4-star quarterbacks that end up one day signing a scholarship with a big major university, just know, I hope you get the bag. I hope you get paid buttloads of money when you get there. But if you overextend, if you get out on top of your skis, if you go just a wee bit too far, you could end up being Nico Iamaleava. And you could end up playing at a smaller, less good school for less money. Careful, is all I'm saying. Back after this on The Rob Brown Show and the Fan Upstate. I think it will be, right? Because Keegan, if you have a dude who is willing to do this at college, and more important, well, I'll say just as importantly, if the stories were all true, that the driving factor behind that was his dad, aren't you kind of worried that you end up with a helicopter dad if you draft a guy? Now, I honestly don't think that matters as much in the NFL as we think it does, because it's really only guys that are like top 3, top 5, top 10 picks that dads matter enough to do that. But I think that that's, if especially if he grows into being something at UCLA, like, that's got to be a thought of it. I do like that question, and I actually want to come back and talk about that. We'll find out. Y'all stay right there. I will be our... relevant question in our live chat, which you can be a part of by very simply joining our live stream. There are multiple ways that you can get on the stream. Facebook.com/TheFanUpstate. The Fan Upstate on YouTube, or by following the Fan Upstate on Twitter at The Rob Brown Show. You also can join us by subscribing to The Rob Brown Show on YouTube, by following me on YouTube, on Facebook, and on Twitch. If you're one of those youngsters that loves the Twitch, we are live on Twitch as well. Just search and subscribe to The Rob Brown Show. Our, just a little behind the scenes, our metrics are absolutely measured, and we are absolutely judged. So if you like the show, I try not to beg too often, but I will occasionally. Do us a favor. Like, subscribe, and share us. Smash those buttons, as the influencers say, and share us around with your amigos so that we can grow our online presence, and Lonzo and I can stay employed.
I like working and getting paid.
Yeah, me too. I'd like to keep doing that how and where I'm doing it too, because I got to tell you straight up, if I can't do this anymore, I got to go get a real job.
Yeah, I don't want to go. Why can't I work there anymore? My picture's on the building.
On the building.
Yeah.
On top of that, if y'all don't share it, then they gotta take that big picture down too, and that's hard work for it. You're gonna make everybody work harder. All right, so share the show.
Don't make Chris have to go on the side of the building with a razor blade trying to get that off of there.
All right, Keegan said, how much do you think this will be talked about in draft discussions? Oh, he'll try to force his way where he wants to be. He also asked, do you think other coaches called Tennessee and were like, you got to make an example out of him? For the record, I honestly don't know what the rules to that are, right? In the NFL, you can't do that. In the NFL, teams can't call other teams and say, you should handle it this way because.
Collusion, tampering?
It is collusion.
Okay. All right.
In fact, there's a big discussion that went to mediation between the NFLPA and the NFL not too long ago, because a couple of the owners were congratulating each other on limiting guaranteed money in contracts. And the NFLPA said, yo, that's collusion. You can't have discussions about how those contracts work out, because if you all work together, can basically shape the market the way you want it instead of making it an open market. And it went to mediation, and a mediator did say ultimately that the NFL did act inappropriately by even having a conversation, but the NFLPA did not prove that anybody took any actual action to collude, basically. So it ended up going nowhere. But I genuinely don't know, and I will ask about this. Over the past couple of months, we have made some friends of the show, buddies of the show, with some attorneys, sports attorneys and whatnot. They may know. I will reach out and find out. I don't know if that is allowed or not, that teams could call Tennessee and go, hey guys, why don't you kick that dude off the team, so that when somebody does it to us down the line, the precedent is set there. It's a great question. I would say this. I don't know that it matters, because as I pointed out not too long ago, I think when it comes down to it, Nico Iamaleava kind of overextended himself a little bit. I think he was asking for money that was going to to QB1s at major institutions that had either proven something or are expected to be absolute dogs. You all know the expectations on Arch Manning before he starts at QB1. You know the expectations, and those expectations, when you heap expectations on somebody like that in the business and career world, money comes along with that, right? If I go negotiate for a job and the job is talk in microphone for 4 hours, I'm not going to get as much money as talking microphone for 4 hours and edit your own commercials and do this and do that. That cool, I'll do that, but like some more money needs to get thrown in the pot, because I have expectations on me to perform. And the reality is, if I do not meet those expectations, I stop getting that money. that will start to be something we see happen moving forward, specifically with NIL. If a kid makes $4 million a year in NIL money and then he shows up and he stinks, he's probably not getting a renewed contract that next year, right? We'll give it to somebody who will. So I think Nico Iamaleava basically showed up and said, I want Carson Beck money, I want Arch Manning money, I want DJ Lagway money, I want Lenora Sellers money. And Tennessee went, yeah, dude, you're not those guys. And we don't have Heisman aspirations for you. Like, we think you're good enough to be here and be QB1, but, like, if we win a natty, we don't think as of right now the expectations aren't it's going to be because of you. It's going to be with you. So I don't know. I don't know is the answer to that. I don't know if Tennessee bailed out or if people were, like, really dialed in on that scenario. And Tennessee was like, we have a chance to set a standard for everybody now, which I doubt because, let's keep it a buck, part of the reasons that these College Sports Commission's stories are so interesting are because the CSC is only going to work if every school buys in, respects, and follows what they say. And we already know over years and years and years, that's not how it works. Schools skirt the rules all the time. And if schools can skirt the rules and get a competitive advantage for doing so, especially over rivals, over the rest of their conference, they're going to do it. This is why. So we talked earlier, and I'll bring it back up here just because it fits in the moment. We talked earlier about the story out of Virginia. David Hale reported on this. Last Friday, North Carolina Central coach Trey Oliver was doing a press appearance. And he told the story of a game last year where his coaching staff found a Virginia Tech assistant coach on the sideline, and Trey Oliver is straight up accusing the Va Tech coach of tampering, straight up accusing the Va Tech assistant coach of trying to recruit his then star running back, Jamari Taylor, to hit the transfer portal and come to Blacksburg. Oliver said, quote, Virginia Tech was actually on my sideline recruiting our running back. That was pretty bold. I couldn't believe it, end quote. And we know it was Jamari Taylor because while he did not admit the name, he did go on to describe the running back as a great running back or a great player who transferred to Virginia. Well, there's only one former North Carolina Central Eagle now on the Virginia roster, and it's Jamari Taylor. So, like, it's him. So I brought up this earlier that this is a, to me, very interesting story for a few reasons. Number one, I am very curious as to the lengths, as Virginia Tech has said they have opened an investigation. And I would like to think, as this story dropped on Friday, I would like to think that at some point today, tomorrow, whatever, the College Sports Commission will put out their first statement that says, we are too. We're looking into this because this is very clearly against the rules of the NCAA and therefore the College Sports Commission. So I would like to hope the CSC will say at some point in the next handful of days at maximum that they are opening it up. And I have the question, what is their investigative power? Can they show up on campus at North Carolina Central and say, give us everything you've got related to this incident? Is North Carolina Central, A, are they willing to? B, if they are willing to, can they, like, how does this go? If they are unwilling to, can the CSC, one way or the next, compel them to? Could they threaten them with some sort of discipline for not engaging in a active College Sports Commission investigation? I don't know the answer to that. And I think it's fair to ask those questions. And then, if that information is turned over, and after a conclusive investigation, if the College Sports Commission does indeed say, we now know that this happened, and we now know that it definitely was tampering. Because, again, I think you got to prove a few things. Number one, you got to prove that a guy was there. Number two, you got to prove he had a conversation with Jamari Taylor. And number three, you got to prove that conversation was about transferring. He may not have been there. If you can prove he was there, you've got to prove beyond a shadow of a doubt that he had a conversation with Jamari Taylor. And if he had a conversation with Jamari Taylor, you've got to prove beyond a shadow of a doubt that that conversation was about transferring out of NC Central and heading to Virginia Tech. But if you prove all three of those things, then what? Then what? Can the CSC punish Virginia Tech? Can they step in and go, you know what? We found out you were tampering, and because of that, question number 2, how hard did they bring the hammer down, right? When the CSC got propped up, one of my primary takeaways was I like the concept, but number 1, do they actually have the power that the NCAA wants them to have? Because we have already seen some states like Tennessee who have tried to litigate themselves out from around the rules the CSC has in place. Number 2, if they do have that power, and whether it's in a court or in Congress or in a state house or whatever, if at some point they are granted the authority to make discipline happen, do the state houses, the ones that actually control, especially I should say pretty much exclusively, but the state houses that control these state universities, college institutions of higher learning, do they do what Tennessee did and start legislating that, A, the schools are mandated to do things that are against the rules, as some states have already tried? B, do they win? C, if they do win, can they legislate themselves out of discipline? Can they basically create something that says, the school cannot follow the discipline handed out by the institutions of the NCAA and the College Sports Commission? And this is also why I've said a bunch of times, the inevitable outcome of this, I think, is that Congress is involved, probably puts an antitrust exemption on the NCAA to allow them to operate outside of traditional trust laws, but that requires unionization, employeeization. I think that's where we're going. We'll find out. But I think that these two things are both milestone moments in college football. I think the moment of Nico Iamaleava is interesting because I think it is a warning shot to future studs in college football that, hey, if you ask for too much, and it's not even in a negotiating range, much like when you go ask for a job and you negotiate the salary. If you throw out a number that is just beyond where they're even willing to consider negotiating, they may just go, you know what, never mind, after reconsideration, this job's not for you. Same for the position. And number 2, what does this tampering story end up leading to when it comes to the College Sports Commission? Does this prove that they have power, don't have power, can get power, won't get power? I think we'll find out. All right, final segment of the show's up next. The Rob Brown Show's on your radio. It is the Fan Upstate.
He's up on something on Twitter. I'm not sure it's real, so I'm pretty sure it's not real, but I still want one. Just because it's not real yet doesn't mean it won't be in the future.
Okay, Twitter. Okay, that is, obviously that's a generated graphic.
Yeah.
But you don't know me that if you think that without or with wife's permission, I would absolutely put one of those up.
If you look at it close, that thing's big enough that it has TVs in the back on the inside of it.
Here, I'll pop it up on the screen so y'all can see what Lonzo and I are talking about, because I'm gonna tell you right now, if the wife for a second said, yeah, go ahead and throw up a giant New Orleans Saints helmet outdoor fire pit / gazebo / television watching / bar. Oh, in a heartbeat is that getting. There is only one question, which is, which of the open face mask gates do you prefer? I'll tell you about that.
Well,
I want more than half. I want more than half. Like, I don't want the full open face mask. Like, that one's not bad. Because you're really just missing the point.
I'm not trying to be real here, but how's that getting vented? I mean, is there like holes up where when the heat rises and just?
As this is probably just concept art.
Yeah.
Without it has anything.
Yeah.
But I will tell you, I think that's an easy fix.
And also, I mean, you're not putting the TV screens. None of those people are facing the TV screens.
Yeah, I mean, if you're sitting over on this side, you're looking at that TV. The only people it sucks to be is the people who are directly in the back. But I'll tell you what I would do.
They're in charge of the s'mores, probably.
I'll tell you exactly what I'd do. Is I'd have two couches. I would have one that hugs this wall, one that hugs this wall, and under the center TV would be a bar.
That would make sense. Yeah.
I'd have a bar with a beer fridge and a full liquor cabinet under that. I would still put that TV there, and then I would probably.
Well, that way you can watch when you walk up to get your beverage. Yeah,
I'd have on this one. I'd have minimum 5 TVs in there. I have two on both sides and one on the direct back. But yeah, if I thought for a second that this was real affordable and Mrs. Myers-Brown ever said, yeah, I'm good if you put a huge ass Saints helmet gazebo / football watching heaven in the background, have at it. You better believe I'd spend the retirement fund on that. That's incredible. I love that. The Rob Brown Show back on your radio. It is the Fan Upstate. The Major League Baseball Hall of Fame induction ceremony took place yesterday. You may remember a conversation that happened about, I guess, a little over a year ago when Ichiro Suzuki was inducted into the Major League Baseball Hall of Fame, or was voted into the Major League Baseball. I got football in the brain. You all do. Don't lie to me. You all do. When Ichiro Suzuki, who I have said for a while, was without a doubt the best hitter of the baseball I have ever watched play. Man racked up 3,000 career hits, racked up a 267 hit season. Those are insane numbers. And I'm not saying they'll never be met. I'm just saying if they are ever met, that guy's also a first ballot Hall of Famer. They're stellar numbers. But the conversation was not about Ichiro Suzuki getting into the Hall of Fame. The conversation was about the fact that Ichiro Suzuki was not a consensus Hall of Famer on the first ballot. There was, out of, I believe, 268 baseball writers who vote annually on the Baseball Hall of Fame, there was one guy who did not put Ichiro Suzuki on his ballot as a first ballot dude. And I was, and I mean this, incensed by that. So I don't know if you can flash back to that with me, but you and I had a number of conversations about that. And when it happened, I was furious on this radio program about that.
I definitely remember that, for sure, without a doubt. You were not a happy camper.
I was incensed that a man with 267 hits in a single season and a man with 3,000 career hits, the best hitter of the baseball, not slugger, but hitter of the baseball in my career, in my life. And you can make the argument it was Barry Bonds, and that's fine. I'll hear the conversation. I think Ichiro was a more consistent hitter of the baseball than that. Also point out the fact that Ichiro Suzuki didn't show up in Major League Baseball until he was like 27 years old. Suzuki was a Japanese pro baseball legend for like a long time before he got here, and he dove right in. Like, he was incredible out of the gate. So Ichiro was at the Hall of Fame induction ceremony and had a little fun, had a little jab during his acceptance speech.
Baseball taught me what it means to be a professional, and I believe that is the main reason I am here today. Not because my skills are better than others. 3,000 hits or 262 hits in one season are achievements recognized by the writers. Well, all but one of you. And by the way, the offer for that writer to have dinner at my home has now expired.
Hell yeah, Ichiro. Let him know about it. Let him know about it. Because while I doubt that one guy cares, I have to think there's at least a part of him that does. Because I think that one guy was trying to make a point. And I don't know what the point was, to be honest with you. I don't know what the point was. I don't care what the point was. It was a dumb point. No matter what the point was, it was a dumb point. I think that one guy was trying to make a point, and my man just got. And Ichiro's not going to say a name. I don't even know if we know who it is or if they'll ever release who it was. Doesn't matter. What I know is that guy tried to make a point. He thought in the time, I'm the smartest baseball writer in America, and I'm going to make this point. And that dude is going to have his one vote played on a loop in the Major League Baseball Hall of Fame until the heat death of the universe. He's got to live with that. That he was the one dude that kept Ichiro from joining the most elite group of the most elite group in baseball, consensus first ballot guys, which he absolutely should have been. All right, I got one more bite. This was going to be in the audio blitz, but I decided this deserved a minute. This deserved a chance. Now, I am going to tell you a great one that I pulled this, and it is from Scotty Scheffler, the greatest golfer and apparently the best actor on the PGA Tour, which we'll get to here in just seconds from now. But he was on the Pardon My Take podcast. And Scotty is not a user of vulgarity. So I believe this clip's clean, but just be on the trigger, JIC. Great one. I'm pretty sure it's clean. But the boys of the Pardon My Take pod decided they were going to go ahead and ask Scotty the question that we have all wanted to ask Scotty since a week ago today.
So far above the green. Downwind.
Oh, no, I re-downloaded the clip and not his response. The PFT, I'm going to play this together. The Pardon My Take fellas had Scotty Scheffler on the pod, and now I don't have it because I apparently downloaded the sound of Scotty Scheffler ripping fart after hitting an iron shot on 17 in a tournament 2 weeks ago. Scotty Scheffler went on the Pardon My Take pod, and the boys asked him, was that you? And Scotty admitted, yeah, that was me. Yep, I put what I had into that drive. I put what I had, or into that iron shot. I put what I had into that moment. And yeah, that was on me. 100%. I ripped a toot as I was ripping an iron shot onto the 17th green. And I appreciate his honesty.
Would you? Wow. Monday.
1-0 on a Monday.
Yeah. Would you have admitted to that?
Yeah, 100%. I have not hit the...
I probably would have took a bow after I did it. So
yeah, for sure.
I mean, because everyone knows.
You have to own it. Like, it's obviously you. You're the only one on the course. When you are actively swinging, you were the only one on the course making a noise. And you know every microphone at a 3-mile radius is pointed at you. Like, you just got to own it.
I probably would also say, now you know why they say quiet, please.
Yeah. I like that. I will also say, while I haven't hit at 40 years old, I haven't hit my full old man DGAF mentality yet. I look forward to that. But I have definitely hit DJF mentality in aspects of my life, and that's one of them. I just don't care. Everybody does it. Shut up.
Reached rising wind age, there's no way you could probably get through any swing without that happening.
Oh, for sure. Like there's definitely
rising wind is when you can't get out of a chair without. Yeah.
That's fair. You give yourself a little boost.
Yeah.
By the way, real quick,
it's like propulsion. It's yeah.
Real quick, Madden has just dropped this year's 99 Club. Oh, is that on the list? Well, that's okay. I'll spend a couple extra minutes here. Madden has just dropped the 99 Club. These are, of course, the players in Madden 2026.
So it's like 3 minutes, man. It's that close.
That's okay. It deserves the time. It's a big deal. We're going to talk about this tomorrow. Madden has dropped the 99 Club. These are the players in Madden 26 that are rated a 99 overall. There are 7 of them on the list this year. The 7 are from Philadelphia, Lane Johnson and Saquon Barkley are both 99s. From the Baltimore Ravens, Lamar Jackson catches the 99 overall. Jamar Chase, wide receiver of the Cincinnati Bengals, is a 99 overall. Another wide receiver, Justin Jefferson of the Minnesota Vikings. Myles Garrett, edge rusher from the Cleveland Browns. And Josh Allen catches the 99. So two quarterbacks. I was right, 2 quarterbacks. Lamar and Josh Allen get the 99. A running back in Saquon Barkley. A couple of defensive guys in Myles Garrett. A defensive guy in Myles Garrett catches the 99. An offensive lineman from the Eagles in Lane Johnson catches the 99. And a running back, obviously, in Saquon Barkley, who just was the NFL last year, catch 99s.
All those guys deserve to be on there, but I consider this entire list disrespectful.
Disrespect. Yeah,
yes.
Of course. There is great one. Consider the 2025 Kansas City Chief Disrespect offseason tour underway. I saw over the weekend at least, off the top of my head, at least 2 different national shows asking if this is the wind down year of the dynasty. A lot of people going in believing this is Travis Kelce's last ride. A lot of people believe going in that the Chiefs may be getting to their spot where they maybe can't keep hitting guys on the outside for Mahomes, that the defense, even with Chris Jones back on the extension, maybe takes a step back. A lot of questions. And by the way, that whole division getting better. I think all 3 teams in that division are better.
And it's a good point. Lose the Super Bowl, revamp the offensive line, go back, win the Super Bowl. Lose the Super Bowl, revamp the offensive line. What did they do? They've revamped the offensive line.
Very fair.
I mean, who did they lose? Where's the drop off? We'll see.
That's fair. That's more than fair. So we'll find out. Real quick, 30-second answer, spoiler free. Happy Gilmore, rate it. Happy Gilmore 2. Happy Gilmore A is an A+.
You know what? Should I just go ahead and cross it off the list? Because that's on the list.
Nope, leave it there. Let's just do the thing then.
Yeah, I mean, because that really.
Nope, just leave it on the thing.
2 in less than 3 minutes. What in the world is going on? All right, this first thing on What the X is going to probably surprise you. Happy Gilmore 2.
Shocking. I can't believe that I didn't once think about bringing that up on the show today. It's date night tonight. The lady friend and I are going to put some stir-fry teriyaki on the Blackstone and then watch Happy Gilmore 2. I'm excited about it. Cody Decker was like, I watched it. Wasn't worth the time. It's a disrespect to the OG Happy Gilmore. Great one. You came in this morning and kind of saved me because I have been looking forward to this.
All right. Laughed my butt off on watching the entire thing. Love the cameos. I thought it was hilarious. And is it sophomoric? Yeah, it's Happy Gilmore.
Adam Sandler.
Yeah, it's Happy Gilmore. And there's only a couple Adam Sandler movies that I'm a big time fan of. Happy Gilmore was one of them.
I concur.
I really enjoyed it. I did. But that's not why it's Xing. Well, I guess it is because there's a mixed bag of some people hate it, some people love it. It's very divisive, which is surprising.
That's quite literally my friend group. Like I said, Cody Decker. And Cody Decker and I talk movies all the time. Like we do a pop culture segment, a show on Saturdays. We both love Superman. We both thought Fantastic Four was really good. Not as good as Superman, but really good for what it needed to be for Marvel. But I have been pumped up about it. Deck's takeaway was it's just not what it needed to be to pay homage to the OG Happy Gilmore. My thought was this. I have zero expectations going in. That way, if it's good, cool. I got this fun benefit of an unexpected sequel to one of my favorite sports movies from back in the day. And if it sucks, who cares?
Yeah, Sandler doesn't really do sequels. I mean, you got Grown Ups 1 and 2, but I think that's it.
And those were more like group movies. Than
Yeah, and they were.
Sandler movies.
Yeah, I mean, all those comedians together.
Spade and Rock and all those guys.
Yeah, and I love those. And Salma Hayek, who just doesn't age.
There's no bad movie with Selma Hayek in it.
All right, the next thing that's Xing is John Gruden.
John Gruden Xing. I have seen a bunch of clips the last couple of days going around of the quarterback camp thing that he does with the guys who got drafted, but I do not know why he is.
I think it's mostly because all the people sending him gear. I mean, it's in overdrive right now.
Yeah, it really is. So, do you? I
What
told
a
you.
scam!
I showed you.
Don't you wish we had thought of that?
I showed you one of the clips. The Swamp Rabbits got Chucky a box, and he rocked it, and they.
What a smart move by him if he's the one who came up with it. I mean, so everybody's sending you their stuff.
Yeah, I'm sure that probably started with just like somebody like, let's just send Chucky and see if because like his team at Barstool is pushing the crap out of him as a social media star, and why not? Like that's where Barstool kind of thrives. I'm sure somebody sent him a box. He was like, hey, look, I got this fun box, and now it's just the thing to do. The Bits got in on that last year, and Chucky not only went off on the Swamp Rabbits, like in a good way, like bragged about him, like look how cool this gear is, put on all the gear, whatever. He talked about it for a while. He's now on like a hockey tour, like he showed up and just coached a beer league hockey team in somewhere a couple of weeks ago, but he is still consistently shouting out the Bunnies when he does it, which I think is super dope. I'm not gonna tell you that the Bunnies are reaching out to get Chucky to come to town and come drop the puck and maybe be an honorary assistant coach during the game, but I'm not going to tell you they're not working on that.
Is this redemption? Is this forgiveness? Or is this forgetfulness?
I will say this because we've had a lot of stories.
There were emails, if you recall.
I know.
So,
there have been a lot of stories about redemption and forgiveness over the past couple of days, obviously dating back to the passing of Hulk Hogan last week. I will say this. I think what Chucky did was egregious. I thought it was gross. I thought it was inappropriate. I thought it was unacceptable. And I will also say I feel like, unlike some other people, I feel like Chucky has gone to make amends. I feel like Chucky has taken a sincere look at what he said, why he said it, how he said it, and has tried to own that. So I give him the benefit of the doubt of forgiveness for now. I'd rather give the benefit of the doubt for forgiveness. Some people just don't ever do anything.
All right, and finally, the last thing that's Xing is Franklin.
Franklin, as in Franklin Richards, as in the Fantastic Four, as in the movie I saw yesterday.
Yes.
30-second spoiler-free review. I thought it was good. Superman was better, but Superman was intended to be brighter, vibrant, more fun. This was supposed to be a potential world-ending event in a universe that is different than ours. I thought it was very good. I thought it was absolutely the universal reset that they needed. I thought they did a good job kind of fleshing out what makes the characters interesting, which is not their superpowers, it's their personalities. It's worth a watch in theaters if you dig it. That's it for us. Appreciate you being here. Hope you enjoyed the show. If you didn't, honestly, it's kind of your own fault. Come back tomorrow. We'll do it all over again and probably better. For Lonzo, I'm Rob. Have a great day. This is the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate. Later.
I can't stand this team. They got no balls.
Miss Piggy is also Xing, but the only thing I can figure out why Miss Piggy, although if you look at Miss Piggy Xing, there's just a bunch of pictures of people saying this person looks like Miss Piggy. Some of them are pretty accurate, but I think it has to do with Star Trek Generations. Are going to do an episode of the Muppets doing the thing.
Pigs in space!
Yeah, except they're actually going to be on the...
Here for it.
Yeah.
Here for it.
I've never watched that show, but I will watch that particular
You ever
episode.
watched the Muppet Show?
No, I grew up with the Muppet Show.
Oh,
I'm
you
talking
mean
about
Star Trek. Okay.
Star
Next
Trek.
Generation Star Trek.
It's not Next Generation. It's whatever the new one is. It's a new one, but it's an old one. It's back before. It's like a prequel.
Oh, man. I'm in. I'd watch it 100%. For sure.
It doesn't mean it doesn't mean that the Muppets will be on. I mean, almost every show has eventually a musical episode and a puppet episode. So
Even Monday Night Raw.
even The Boys.
I think of all time, one of my greatest wrestling interactions, one of my favorite wrestling interactions was Sheamus and Beaker.
Brothers.
So good. So good. Apparently, Luca's on the cover of Men's Health, and he's absolutely yoked.
You haven't seen it?
No, I just saw it. Just popped up.
Yeah, you should look at it. I just saw it, and I'm like, yeah, that's fake. There's no way. Or that's revenge is what that is.
It's one of two things. Either it is Men's Health Photoshopped, which we all know magazine covers do that, or number two, Luca's going on the Bleep You Mavericks revenge tour next year.
That's what I think it might be.
The Bleep You, You're Fat revenge tour next year. Yeah, no, I know, James. Here's the thing. Ichiro Suzuki was on a very, very short list of players that there should have been no discussion, debate, or conversation is a first ballot Hall of Famer. I mean, just what that guy did with the baseball bat has never been matched. It's impossible. Paige Beckers during the Aces Wings game, there was a kind of a bad call on the field. She was out with the injury. She straight up, she was wearing glasses on the bench.
I saw it.
Straight up walked to the ref and was like, "Do you need my glasses?"
Yeah, I saw it.
Incredible. I'm here for Rage Beckers. Subscribe.
I don't know if you're injured and you walk out on the court. Shouldn't you be fined for that?
On the bench, you can.
Okay.
I think it was during timeout. Well, during a stop action.
I can't math right today.
Yup. All right, dudes, that's it. I got to go do some stuff. I'm still playing catch up from the last 2 weeks. So, we shall say our farewells, the fondest of them. And I hope that we'll see you all back here tomorrow. If you like us. Again, I'm going to beg. Like,
or if you hate us, do it.
And if you hate us, maybe share us more.
Here's how bad these guys suck. You got to listen to that.
Yeah, these guys are miserable. They're absolutely awful. You should check in to hear how dumb these idiots are. Do that. And also come back tomorrow after you share us with your friends. Have a great day. Goodbye.